Ooh, you gotta help me solve these wintertime riddles. Ready? A millionaire hosted a Christmas reception. He ordered 3 festive cakes from 3 different bakers. During the event, he found a note in his pocket. Do not eat the cake, it's poisoned. But which cake was it? Look at the bakers and help him figure it out. It must be Santa's cake. His clothing is perfectly clean, he has no baking tools, and the cake itself looks like it was bought in a store. Why would someone lie about baking a cake? It's very suspicious. On Christmas Eve, Mila baked 24 cookies and left them on a plate by the fireplace. In the morning, only 10 were left. Late in the evening, 3 people were in the kitchen. Dad said he'd eaten 3 cookies. Mila's brother said he had taken twice as many cookies as Dad. And Grandma said she'd only had 1. But when Mila added up the numbers, she realized someone was fibbing. Who was it? It was the brother. 3 plus 6 plus 1 equals 10. But 14 cookies went missing. So Mila's brother took more than twice as many. On Christmas Eve, Mom left a pie to cool on the kitchen table. An hour later, half of it was gone. Dad said he spent the evening reading in the living room. Tom, the son, claimed to have been outside building a snowman the whole time. And Emma, the daughter, insisted she'd never even entered the kitchen. There were small wet drops on the floor near the table. So, who's guilty? Tom. He was indeed building a snowman, and the snow on his mittens melted, leaving the drops on the floor. Ava left her sled by the house in the evening. The snow was smooth, and the wind wasn't strong. In the morning, the sled stood in a different part of the yard. There was a strange track beside it, as if someone had dragged it. But there were no footprints nearby. Ava's parents hadn't touched the sled either. Can you figure out what moved the sled? During the night, the temperature dropped, and a thin, icy crust formed. The slight slope plus a light wind caused the sled to slide on its own. Santa disappeared, and Detective Robinson was searching for him. He came across a basement with 3 doors. Behind each of them, there was a man dressed as Santa and claiming to be the real one. Now, look at these Santas attentively and try to figure out which of them is real. It's the Santa on the left. Hopefully you've paid attention to the photo on the wall. It depicts Santa with his reindeer. If we compare the photo with all Santas, only the one on the left is absolutely the same. Santa needs to deliver some gifts, but not all chimneys are safe for him. Can you help Santa figure out which chimney he should pick? The first chimney seems to be fully blocked, and no oxygen flows through it. All the snow and ice have melted on the second chimney. The fireplace must be working there. As for the third chimney, it is open enough for oxygen to flow through, but the snow hasn't melted completely, which means the fireplace is off. An elderly couple finished building a new house. It looked beautiful. Very proud, they invited their teenage grandchildren to have a look at their work. But within an hour, one guy and 2 girls managed to break several windows. They also knocked down the fence, removed the decorations, and ruined the roof. But the most bizarre thing, the retired couple didn't seem to mind. They just smiled looking at the teenagers. Can you figure out what was going on? The grandparents made a gingerbread house and invited their grandchildren to eat it. Mark told his wife he was going on a business trip to Canada and asked her to pack his bag. It was winter, so his wife packed a pair of very warm socks, a scarf, and a knitted hat for Mark. When Mark returned, he asked her why she hadn't packed his toothbrush. The woman understood her husband was lying about the trip. How did she figure it out? She put his toothbrush under the warm clothes. If he didn't take them out of his bag, it wasn't very cold outside, so he wasn't in Canada. The manager of a ski resort went missing. The police suspected 3 people staying at the hotel. Unfortunately, no one could find any of these people. They were probably on the slopes, skiing. The police officers decided to examine their rooms, look at the suspect's stuff, and say who is responsible for the disappearance of the manager. It's James. He's the only one who doesn't have warm clothes or winter sports gear and equipment. It means he didn't come to the resort just to have some fun. Santa's sleigh ended up in a ditch. The police questioned him to find out what happened. Santa says he was testing his new reindeer-free electric sleigh, but suddenly the Grinch on skis appeared right in front of the sleigh. Santa had to make a sharp turn, and the rest is history. Can you figure out who's guilty? Look at the trail left by the sleigh. First, the sleigh turned sharply, and then a skier passed there. The Grinch isn't guilty. Santa must have lost control and now wants to frame the green guy. Mark and Lisa have been dating for 2 years. One day, the guy came to his girlfriend's house planning to propose to her and found Lisa with another man. The other guy got scared and rushed out of the house. Unfortunately, Mark didn't see the guy's face clearly. When he ran outside, he saw 3 men. Which one is Lisa's admirer? It's the guy on the left. It's freezing outside, and the other 2 guys have red cheeks and noses, but the third guy's face is pale because he just left a warm house. It was a snowy winter. Detective Davis was walking home when he saw a young woman carrying 2 large bags. The girl seemed suspicious to the detective. He came up to her, showed her his badge, and asked what she had in her bags. She answered she was going on vacation, and that was just some stuff she needed there. The detective arrested her. Why? Look at the woman's footprints. She got out of the house through the window. She must have broken into the house, and there are stolen things inside her bags. A young woman went to another town to look for a better job. She promised her mother she would come and visit her often. But 4 months passed, and she still didn't come home. Her mom missed her very much. One day, in the middle of winter, the woman shouted, "April is here!" How is it possible? April was her daughter's name. She finally came to visit her family. Adam's car broke down in the middle of a deserted forest road. It was winter, snowdrifts were huge, and the wind was freezing cold. Adam had to get to the nearest town, but if he followed the first path, he'd have to deal with hungry wolves. The second road went through the area where bears lived, and if he took the third path, he'd have to cross a river covered with thin ice. Which way is the safest? Adam should sneak through the bear's territory. These animals usually sleep in the winter. On Christmas Eve, Santa leaves his workshop located at the North Pole to deliver gifts. In what direction is he going to travel first? In the southern direction. It's the only direction you can travel from the North Pole. You're lost in the forest on a cold winter night. You have nothing to warm you up. There are three options: to stay where you are and call for help, to keep walking until you get out of the forest, and to go on but take small breaks, sit on the snow, and cover yourself with some branches. What should you choose? Well, if you stay in one place, you'll freeze in no time. Sitting on the snow during short breaks isn't a great idea as well. You might accidentally fall asleep. So, you should keep walking. Ho ho ho! Hey, look at these three Santas standing side by side. At first glance, they all look like the real thing. But upon closer inspection, you can spot some suspicious details. That's because only one of them is the real Santa Claus. The other two are imposters. Can you identify the guy who will put gifts under your Christmas tree?
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas to everybody!
Well, look at the first Santa. Have you spotted a thin elastic band around his ears holding up his beard? It means it's a fake beard. Plus, he seems to be wearing glasses, but if you look closely, they have no lenses, which makes them purely decorative. That's suspicious.
Oh no.
The second Santa is wearing sporty sneakers instead of the traditional black boots that Santa typically wears. It raises doubts about his authenticity. As for the third Santa, he has a thick, natural-looking white beard that doesn't need an elastic band to hold it up. He's also wearing traditional black boots, and even though he's not wearing glasses, he is the only real Santa.
Oh no.
Someone had been stealing Santa's almond chocolate candies, which he stored in the reindeer stables. Santa suspected that the criminal was one of his elves who worked there. He was also worried since all of them were allergic to nuts. So he gathered all the elves in one room. One of them kept sticking his tongue out and then giggling. The second elf had traces of something brown on his fingers. And the third elf kept jumping in one place. Look at the elves attentively and help Santa figure out which one is the thief. The elf with brownish spots on his fingers works in the stables. It might be the reason why his hands are dirty. Elves are cheerful creatures, which means that a happily jumping elf is not an unusual occurrence. But look at the first elf carefully. His tongue is likely swollen as a result of an allergic reaction. That's why it's sticking out of his mouth. He is the candy thief. Several Santas were buying gifts in a store. Suddenly, the manager of the store got a call from the police. Apparently, one Santa was fake. It was a criminal getting ready to rob the store. The manager locked the door and looked at the Santas carefully, trying to figure out which one was the criminal. Can you help the man?
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas to everybody!
It's this Santa. Look at his shoes. They're different from those of the other Santas. Now look at this poor Santa standing on the side of the road. His sleigh seems to have spun out, ending up in a ditch. Let's ask Santa what exactly has happened. Oh, it turns out he went out to test his brand new radar-free electric sleigh. But suddenly, the Grinch on skis appeared right in front of the sleigh. So Santa had to make a sharp turn, and that's how his sleigh ended up in a ditch. Don't you think that something doesn't add up in this story? Look closely at the trail left by the sleigh. You can notice that the sleigh was the first to turn sharply, and only after that did the skier pass there. So, the Grinch is not guilty in this case. More likely, Santa just lost control and is now trying to frame the green guy. Santa needs to deliver some gifts, but not all chimneys are safe for him. Can you help Santa figure out which chimney he should pick?
Merry Christmas to everybody!
The first chimney seems to be totally blocked. No oxygen flows through it, so getting inside is dangerous. All snow and ice have melted on the second chimney. It means that the fireplace is on, heating the room. It wouldn't be wise to climb down that chimney. As for the third one, it's open enough for oxygen to flow through, but the snow hasn't melted completely, which means the fireplace is off. Santa should pick this chimney. Reindeer Rudolph went missing, and this put the whole Christmas at risk, since children weren't going to get any presents. Santa only knew that Rudolph had gone to the supermarket to get some ingredients for Christmas pudding. The news quickly spread on TV, and 3 witnesses appeared. Judy said that the night before, she had been passing by an ice cream stand on Palm Street and had seen someone grabbing the reindeer, buying an ice cream, and putting it in a truck. But at the same time, she didn't know it was Rudolph. Philip claimed that he had seen a baby reindeer in a parking lot near a supermarket. The animal was eating hay together with a pony. Then, a man in a jacket approached the animals and they all left. And Kira said that at night, she'd seen a reindeer being grabbed by a man and taken away in a black car. Can you figure out who actually witnessed Rudolph's abduction? It was Kira. Rudolph didn't go out to get an ice cream. Neither was he a baby reindeer. So what Kira saw seems to be the closest to the truth. Someone stole all the presents from Santa's warehouse. There are 3 suspects, all of them elves. Each of the elves claims he was at home when the crime happened. The road to the warehouse is impossible to navigate on foot, since it's been snowing for the last several hours. So whoever did this had to use a sleigh. Can you help Santa figure out who the criminal is? This Santa looks pretty angry, but it might be because his sleigh is broken. It means he couldn't have left his home. The sleigh of the elf on the right is covered with a thick layer of snow. It's unlikely that he's used it recently. But look at the sleigh of the elf in the middle. There's snow under it. It means the sleigh was parked near the house after the snow had already started falling. The elf wasn't at home. So why is he lying? Is it because he is the mysterious thief? One young elf decided to play a prank on Santa and hid all the presents he had to deliver behind one of these 2 doors. One of the doors hid a very unfriendly dragon, and behind the other, there were the presents. Santa needs to pick the right door, otherwise the holiday is spoiled. Luckily, there are 2 signs on the doors. One of them is a lie and the other is true. On the first door, it's written, "The presents are here. The dragon is in the next room." The other sign says, "The presents and the dragon aren't in the same room." Can you help poor Santa figure out where the presents are? The presents are in the second room. The second statement is true, which means the first one is false. Santa came to visit his old friend Mr. Allright and instantly saw that the man was upset. It turned out that he had bought a Christmas gift for his wife. It was a beautiful diamond ring and had hidden it on top of the cupboard. Well, now it was missing. Santa questioned 2 other people who were in the house, Mr. Allright's son, 7-year-old Jeremy, and his colleague Jim, who was visiting him.
Oh no.
Jim claimed that he had seen Jeremy climbing a stool and taking the ring box from the cupboard. Jeremy swore he hadn't taken anything. Help Santa figure out who was telling the truth and who took the ring.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas to everybody!
Even if Jeremy climbs that stool, he'll still be too short to reach the top of the cupboard. So, Jim is lying. He's probably the one who took the ring. Now, how about a short and entertaining Christmas quiz? Why is Santa so good at karate? Because he has a black belt. Why do mummies like Christmas so much? Because of all the wrapping. What does a snowman like to eat for breakfast? Frosted Flakes. Why are Christmas trees bad at knitting? Because they always drop their needles. What do you call a snowman in the summer? A puddle. On Christmas Eve, when Santa leaves his home at the North Pole, what direction does he travel? To the south. If you're on the North Pole, the only direction you can go is south. And finally, the trickiest one. Who says "oh, oh, oh"?
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas to everybody!
It's Santa walking backwards.
Oh no, here we go again. The Grinch has stolen all the Christmas presents once more, but this time his heart won't grow 3 sizes. Santa sent his best elves to negotiate a way to retrieve the gifts, but all the Grinch wanted was an arm wrestling contest with Santa. With little choice, Santa agreed and made his way to the Grinch's cave. The two squared off, their fists clenched, each determined to emerge victorious. For Santa, winning meant reclaiming the stolen presents. For the Grinch, it meant keeping the gifts all to himself forever. Look closely at the scene. Who do you think will come out on top? This isn't just a story of good triumphing over evil. It comes down to raw physical strength. Santa's arm is visibly muscular, which makes sense. How else could he carry that enormous sack? The Grinch, on the other hand, has a thinner, less robust arm. He might not be able to compete with Santa's strength. I guess this time Christmas is saved once again. But beware of the Grinch and his cunning tricks. Who knows what else he might have up his sleeve? No surprise that the Grinch was extremely mad about the lost arm wrestling contest, so he decided to take his revenge. After some thought, he concluded that the best way to ruin the celebration was to create a fake Santa. He could find some aspiring actor, dress him up, and provide him with the nastiest presents. After some preparation, the doppelganger was ready to bring chaos to the town. The elves figured out that there was an imposter among them, and one of them even managed to snap a photo of the fake Santa. They decided to create an ad to hang around town to inform people about how to tell a real Santa from a fake one. So what are the 3 details that can help distinguish the real from the fake? The beards are the same, the noses are the same, and the clothes too. But here's the first detail that gives the imposter away: the eye color. The real Santa has blue eyes, while the doppelganger has brown eyes. The second detail is that the fake Santa somehow doesn't have any eyebrows. Lastly, the fake Santa wears a tiny earring, while the real one doesn't wear any jewelry at all. Alright, it seems the Grinch has finally calmed down, allowing Santa and his elves to prepare for the Christmas season. It could have gone smoothly, but now there's a new problem. The trusty automatic gift dispenser, which allows the elves to quickly collect the gifts they need, is broken. Instead of only dispensing Christmas-themed gifts, it has started producing the wrong ones. It's all about those keys. They must have been misplaced when it was last fixed at the mechanics. So, which keys don't fit the Christmas theme? We have 3 misplaced keys here. The first one is right here. It's an SPF cream, which may not be the best match for the holiday season. Next, we have an ice cream cone. And lastly, there's a pumpkin. It fits perfectly for Halloween, but not for Christmas. The holiday season is intense, and sometimes there are so many gifts to pack that the elves don't even have time to prepare and eat lunch. To address this, Santa hired Jessie, a kind girl who is now in charge of keeping the elves happy and well fed. On her first day in this new role, Santa handed her a shopping list and sent her grocery shopping. On the way to the supermarket, Jessie was unexpectedly confronted by none other than the Grinch. Luckily, he didn't harm her, but he did steal the list. The Grinch thought this would ruin Santa's plans, as hungry elves might go on strike. Jessie, however, was scared of losing her job, but she was too frightened to return and ask Santa for a new list. So, she decided to figure it out herself. Looking at the shelves in the supermarket, what should she buy? Candy corn, syrup, and candy canes went straight into the trolley. Hot chocolate and marshmallows could be great additions as well. However, Jessie needed to avoid heavier foods that might upset the elves' stomachs. So, items like Wurstles, garlic, and bacon were off the list. Oh, and she could also grab some moss to treat the reindeer. Do you remember the stolen shopping list? It was taken on purpose. The Grinch couldn't recover from losing the arm wrestling contest, so he decided to ruin Santa's life. To do that, he needed to know what elves eat. His plan was to send an anonymous parcel filled with treats for elves, but these treats had to be poisoned. This way, the Grinch could eliminate the elves and maybe even Santa once and for all. He purchased sugar canes that elves loved and coated them with potent poison. Then, he had the parcel delivered straight to Santa's door. It was Jessie who opened it. She unpacked the food and placed the treats into the box where all the sugar canes were stored. When Alfie, the clever elf, came to pick one, he immediately realized that half of the treats weren't safe. How did he know? Well, if you recall, the poison Grinch coated the sugar canes with had a yellowish tint. If you mix red and yellow, you'll end up with orange. Therefore, the sugar canes with orangey stripes weren't safe to eat. But Alfie decided to play it safe and get rid of all the sugar canes altogether. After all, you can never be too sure. The Grinch kept a close watch on Santa's house and soon realized that his sugarcane sabotage had failed. He concluded that in order to sabotage more effectively, he needed to get inside the house. Fortunately, there was a dinner party at Santa's, and he knew that Santa had invited a multitude of snowmen. So the Grinch fashioned a snowman disguise and prepared to crash the party. No invitation required, since Santa was always pleased to welcome any snowman. However, at the entrance stood Alfie, the clever elf, who was tasked with ensuring that no imposters slipped through the door. Can you help Alfie identify who shouldn't be let in? Look closely at the snowman holding a takeaway coffee cup. That beverage is hot, and if it doesn't melt the snowman entirely, it could very well melt one of its hands. This indicates that the snowman isn't made of real snow. It's just a costume concealing someone who definitely should not be attending the party. Alfie was well aware of the recent misfortunes unfolding around him. The sugar canes and the snowman imposter, he recognized that it was the Grinch behind it all. While he understood that the root of the Grinch's antics was his own ulcerated self-esteem, Alfie couldn't shake the worry that the Grinch might truly ruin the holiday season. To mend fences and brighten the situation, he decided to send the Grinch a gift accompanied by an apology note. Unfortunately, things didn't go as planned. The Grinch returned the package with a scrawled note that read, "I don't need no presents from you." So what was the real problem? It wasn't Alfie who had a beef with the Grinch, it was Santa. Moreover, the Grinch viewed Alfie as beneath him. The issue wasn't the gift itself, it was lovely, but Alfie shouldn't have claimed it was from him. If he had written, "Let's make peace, best wishes, Santa," who knows? Perhaps the Grinch might have accepted it. After the failed attempt to broker peace between the two camps, Alfie sought advice from Jesse. They discussed the situation and realized they needed to talk to Santa as soon as possible to persuade him to address the tricky dilemma involving the Grinch. They both came to the conclusion that they needed to convince Santa to make peace with the Grinch, even though they knew he would likely disagree. So, they decided to request that Santa grant one of their dreams. Santa agreed, but only if they could solve his riddle. The riddle was, where does Christmas go before Thanksgiving? After some contemplation, Alfie and Jesse figured it out. The answer was in the dictionary. With the right answer, they were now ready to task Santa to make their dream come true. They wanted to ask him to make peace with the Grinch. Let's hope Santa takes action, or else our Christmas could be ruined. Sue's friend works at a celebrity PR agency. He informs Sue about a big party that has all the A-listers that will attend and invites her there. There will be a secret entrance code at the door, and it's the answer to this riddle. What always runs but never walks, often murmurs, never talks, has a bed but never sleeps, has a mouth but never eats. The answer is a river. James, Charles, and Harry participated in the 76th Adventure Marathon. Harry ended the race in 3rd place, James in 2nd place, and Charles in 1st place. However, right before they were given their medals, Charles got disqualified. Can you tell why? Do you see the marathon map on the board next to where the medals are? It shows that the runners have to go through some place called the Muddy Plains during their course. And you can tell from the looks on their sneakers that James and Harry have been through a muddy place, whereas Charles's sneakers look clean as new. During the Boston Marathon, Sally overtook Nicole, who was in 2nd place. Then, in what place did Sally finish the race? She finished the race in 2nd place because the riddle states that she overtook Nicole in 2nd place, which means she took over Nicole's position and became the new 2nd place runner. Janine was a biology teacher. At the beginning of the semester, she gave each student one seed and said that only the person who grew the most beautiful flower would get an A in her class. By the end of the semester, all students came back with beautiful flowers except Billy, who came with an empty pot, but he was the only one who got an A. Why is that? It's because the seeds Janine gave all the students were fake, so Billy was the only honest person among them. Charlie's father was a wildlife photographer, and he always wanted his son to experience how it felt to be around wild animals. So, he decided to give him money that would cover all the expenses of an African safari tour. The only thing he wanted in return was for Charlie to take some photos throughout his adventure and send them to him. Charlie did that, but his father got furious and decided not to give him even a single penny anymore. Can you tell why? Take a closer look at these photos. In one of them, Charlie is wearing skis and holding ski poles in an exotic jungle. So he didn't use the money to go on an African safari tour. Instead, he went on a ski vacation and his photos are photoshopped. Ronald was going to a wedding party with his wife. Once they arrived, as Ronald was getting out of his car, he slipped and fell, hit his head, then blacked out. When he woke up a couple of hours later, he couldn't remember anything. There were two women in front of him who were both claiming to be his wife. Can you help Ronald figure out which of them is telling the truth? Remember they were going to a wedding party? That's why they were both dressed accordingly. The lady wearing sweatpants doesn't look like she was heading to a wedding. That's why Ronald's real wife must be the other one, the lady wearing a fancy dress. Leah and Andrew were getting married. After they made their vows, it was finally time to celebrate. But a jealous witch suddenly interrupted them and created two doppelgangers of Andrew to confuse Leah. Yet, the witch's trick didn't work at all, because Leah could immediately tell who the real Andrew was. How did she figure it out so fast? The first and the third Andrew's rings don't match the ring Leah is wearing, so the second Andrew is the real Andrew. A knight was riding his horse through the enchanted forest when a heavy storm began. He couldn't continue his journey like this, so he decided to find an inn to spend the night and wait for the storm to pass. However, he was out of gold coins and was not going to be able to pay. The innkeeper told him if he could answer this riddle correctly, he would let him stay there for free. What is it that walks all day on its head? It's a nail in a horseshoe. Sadie was driving to New Orleans at night when her car suddenly broke. She went out to find someone who could help, but there was only one house around. It was a spooky and weird one, but Sadie had no other choice. Once she rang the bell, 3 vampires opened the door for her. Before Sadie could even say a word, each vampire asked for her help instead, claiming that they were actually human and the other 2 real vampires were holding them prisoner. Can you help Sadie figure out who's telling the truth? Sadie is wearing glasses, so she can point it to the vampires and see which of them has a reflection on the glass surface. Cassandra was a famous beauty influencer. To celebrate her 1 million followers, she did a huge giveaway. For 3 days, she was going to share 3 different riddles with her followers, and the one who could answer all of them correctly would win a makeup box that was $1,000 worth of products. Here is the riddle for day 1. What's black when you get it, red when you use it, and gray when you're all through with it? It's charcoal. For day 2, Cassandra shared 2 almost identical looking photos with her followers. But there were actually 3 differences between them. Can you spot what they are? The lipstick she's holding in the first photo is coral, but it's fuchsia in the second photo. The hairpin in the first photo is butterfly-shaped, but in the second one, it's bird-shaped. And lastly, this nail has glitter nail polish in the first photo, but in the second, it's the same color as the others. For day 3, Cassandra asked her followers to find out her 3 favorite movies and gave these emojis as her hint. Can you tell which movies they refer to? The first one is Silence of the Lambs. The second one is Finding Nemo. And the third one is Edward Scissorhands. Alex is hanging out in his favorite space cafe when suddenly space monsters attack his planet and all the doors and windows of the place get sealed shut as part of the emergency protocol. However, there's actually one way to escape the place safely before the space monsters break the barriers. Can you tell how? Do you see the thing that looks like a fire alarm pull station on the wall? Well, it's not really what you think. The writing on it says, "Pull down for the escape portal." So Alex can use that. But when Alex actually uses the portal pull station, 3 different portals open in front of him. The first one leads to a gladiator arena filled with all kinds of wild animals. The second one leads to the inside of an active volcano. And the third one leads to an island inhabited by creepy sirens whose singing make everyone fall into an eternal sleep. Which one should Alex pick? Do you see the headphones Alex has inside his backpack? Well, he can use them to cancel the singing of the sirens, so he should choose the third portal. Alyssa left her gym bag in the dressing room and went to get a towel from the receptionist. But when she returned, her bag was gone. She called security and they interrogated 3 people. Jennifer said that she was taking a shower at the back. Jessica said that she had left to get something to eat from the vending machine. And Jenna said that she was talking on the phone with her boyfriend, not paying attention to anything. Who stole the bag? It's Jessica. She said that she was getting something to eat from the vending machine, but there's no food in it, only drinks. Sam is a truck driver going from the Sunshine State all the way up north. Driving through a small town, he comes across a very low bridge. He can't pass under it. The truck is 1 inch too high, but this is the only road for the driver to reach his destination. What can Sam do to pass under the bridge? He can let some air out of the truck tires so that the truck can reach the exact height it needs to go under the bridge. Genius! Here's a simple but tricky one for you. Mr. Smith has 4 daughters. Each of his daughters has a brother. How many children does Mr. Smith have? He has 5 children. Duh! All of the daughters have the same brother. Sarah is a very beautiful woman, and 2 men are in love with her. One is a doctor, and the other is a florist. The florist needed to go on a trip for a week. But before leaving, he gave Sarah 7 apples. Can you guess why he did that? I guess he believed in that popular saying, "An apple a day keeps the doctor away." There are 3 women trying on clothes in a department store. Take a look at this image and try to guess which of them is a teacher. It's the third lady. If you take a look, her stockings have some chalk marks on them. She probably got them dirty when she was teaching a class. Mr. Kooks was preparing his will when he came up with an idea. He would leave all his fortune to the son that would crack his riddle. He told his 3 sons to buy something that could fill their entire living room. So, the first son went to the market and bought many packages of straw. But when he tested it, they weren't enough to fill the entire living room. The second son bought sticks, but they weren't able to fill the whole room either. The third son bought 2 items that finally filled the room. Can you guess what they were? He bought a candle and a box of matches. He waited until it was nighttime, lit the candle, and voila! The light filled the entire room. Smart thinking. Detective Robin was called to Long Hill College to investigate a series of thefts that had happened there. In a week's time, the man had 3 suspects. "What were you doing when the last theft happened?" he asked them. Thomas said,
That day, I was away. I had to take my younger sister to her violin rehearsal.
Judy said, "I spent that day at the library, getting ready for the midterm tests." Robert said, "I was also at the library, studying Spanish. I'm going to Brazil in the summer, so I'm trying to catch up on the language." The detective immediately knew who was lying. Can you tell who it was? It was Robert. Detective Smith knows that they speak Portuguese in Brazil, not Spanish, so the guy must be lying. Sarah was in her hotel room when she heard a knock on the door. When she looked through the peephole, she saw a man standing outside. "Sorry for bothering you. I'm the hotel manager," he said. "Our database has crashed and I need to check some information." Sarah said she would be back in a moment, got away from the door, and called security. She said there was someone in the hotel trying to rob her. How did she know? Look at the man's name tag. It's a female name. He is surely not the real hotel manager. When Anna got to school, she noticed that her friend Joan was very upset. It was just the beginning of the day, but someone had already stolen her backpack. Anna started her own investigation. Jenna from the robotics lab said she had been fixing a robot that morning. Kate from the cheerleading squad had just begun her practice. And James said he had spent 3 hours trying to solve math problems and was exhausted. Anna knew right away who had taken the backpack. Can you figure it out? It's James. The school day had just started. How could he have been there for 3 hours already? At a party, there were 9 candies in a box. 9 people took 9 candies, but 1 candy was still in the box. How could that be possible? It's pretty simple. The last person took both the candy and the box. This way, 1 candy remained in the box. A math teacher told his students about Roman numerals. After that, he asked them to draw 1 line and turn IX into 6. His only condition was that the students couldn't lift their pens off of the paper until the line was finished. Mark was the first one to complete the task. How did he do it? He drew the letter S in front of IX and got this, 6. Smarty pants, huh? Rachel was at her office when security called, saying a robber had gotten into the building. At that moment, he was trying to escape. The woman ran towards the elevators to evacuate the building, but 2 elevators arrived on her floor at the same time. In both of them, there were men that looked suspicious and could be the robber. How can Rachel figure out which elevator to take? The one that's going up. If the robber is trying to get out of the building, he will be in the elevator that is going down. So it will be safer for Rachel to take the one going up. Hey, it's time for a hair appointment to trim those loose ends. But there's only 2 hairdressers in town to cut your hair, a guy and a girl. Take a look at them. Which one should you choose? The girl, of course. If there are only 2 hairdressers in town, that means that they cut each other's hair. And judging by the haircut the guy gave the girl, it looks like he doesn't really know what he's doing. So you should definitely opt for the girl. The shopkeeper of an expensive skincare shop called the police because someone had robbed his store. But according to the video camera footage, there were 3 customers in the store at the time of the robbery. Investigators questioned each of them. Michael said he had been buying some stuff for his pets. Kayla said she had been concentrating on ointments. And Maya told the interrogator she had been busy buying lotions. Can you tell who is lying? Michael is the culprit. The skincare store doesn't sell pet products. Duh! On a rainy day, Miranda decided to work from home. At one point, she went to the bathroom, and when she got back, she noticed that her cell phone and money had been stolen from her own house during the day. There were 3 people inside the house at that time. Her sister Beth claimed it wasn't her. I was still asleep at that time because I'd had a late night. Her other sister Anna said that she'd been taking a stroll in the garden when it happened. I was watching the night-scented orchid bloom. And lastly, there was Josh, Miranda's boyfriend. I just got home by lunchtime, he said. Which of these 3 suspects stole Miranda's money and cell phone? Anna is the culprit. Night-scented orchids only bloom at night. On Halloween, Carrie decided to visit the spookiest house in the neighborhood by herself. As soon as she got inside, the door locked behind her back, and she got stuck. Luckily, she saw 3 ways out. However, behind the first door, there was a venomous snake. Behind the second door, there was toxic gas. And behind the third door, there was a lake. Which door should she choose? The last door. It's just a lake. She can swim across it.
I know a great way to energize your brain. A new portion of tricky riddles. Are you up for some detective activity? Then let's start. Brandon missed lots of lectures, and as a result, the guy had problems with his professor. The man agreed to give the student a second chance, but only if he fulfilled the task the professor had for him. I'll give you 1 glass of milk and 1 glass of water. You'll need to pour the 2 liquids into a bowl, but you should be able to separate the milk from the water later. And you can't use any kind of dividers. Brandon spent several hours mulling over the problem and cracked this riddle. What did he do? He poured all the water into the bowl and froze it. After that, he added the milk. You lose your friends in a crowd. You spend half an hour looking for them. And finally, here they are. What is the first thing you do as soon as you see them? You stop searching. Can you figure out what this rebus puzzle means? Give, 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 give. It stands for forgive. There are two towns near each other. People who always tell the truth live in one of them. Liars live in the other. The inhabitants of the town often visit each other. What question should you ask a passerby to find out which town you're in? Ask them, "Are you a guest here?" If they answer yes, you're in the town of liars. If they say no, you're in the town where honest people live. Look at these ladies. One of them has stolen a watermelon. Can you figure out which one it is? It's the girl on the right. Her navel isn't visible, even though she's wearing a rather tight dress. Her belly must be fake. Oh no, Mary is crying. But why? Do you know the reason? First of all, Mary is the girl on the left. Do you see that school bag with her name on it? And she's crying because the guy sitting next to her is pulling her hair. Next, can you figure out which car is a transformer? Right you are. It's this one. This granny claims the nurse steals her pills, but the nurse says it's a ridiculous accusation. Who's lying? Duh! Look at the nurse's head. It's not a hat, it's a container with the pills. Now, you need to figure out which blogger is a vampire. Be very attentive to details. Even though the girl wearing all black looks sinister, the vampire is the girl on the right. Look, the lamp is turned on. But unlike the girl on the left, the vampire has no shadow. Olivia's husband was a hunter. Once he went on a hunting trip for 3 days, but when he came back home, he brought nothing. The next day, Olivia went to a cafe with several friends. They shared their latest news. Donna said, "I just bought a new apartment." Sarah boasted, "My boyfriend gave me this bracelet for my birthday." Nina said, "And I went skiing to the Alps. It was a fantastic trip, except for those awful mosquitoes." Olivia left the cafe in tears. She was now sure her husband was cheating on her with one of her friends. Can you figure out which one? It's Nina. For one thing, getting bitten by mosquitoes in the Alps while skiing? Really? Plus, the bites on her face and body match those Olivia's husband has. They must have been together. Someone stole a rare diamond from Mr. Lauren's house. The police suspected Jack, a notorious burglar. A detective immediately went to his house. But when Jack found out the man didn't have a search warrant, he didn't let him in. In an hour, the police arrived again, this time with a warrant. They searched the entire house but found nothing. They were ready to leave when one of the police officers exclaimed, "I know where the diamond is!" Have you figured it out too? When the police came to Jack for the first time, his hair was much shorter. He must be wearing a wig. And the diamond is most likely hidden underneath. Liam was a pilot. Once there was an emergency during a flight. Liam had to land the plane right on the highway. Luckily, he was a skilled pilot and no one got hurt. But Liam hit his head and lost his memory. When he got out of the plane, 2 women ran toward him. Both of them claimed he was her husband. Can you figure out who's telling the truth? The woman on the left is a robot. Look, there's a USB port in her neck. A large ocean liner got shipwrecked, and only 5 people survived. They reached an uninhabited island. They were worn out, hungry, and thirsty. They didn't even have the strength to go look for food. So all they managed to get was 3 bananas. How can they divide them equally among 5 people? They should cut each banana into 5 pieces. Then each of them will get 3 pieces. Problem solved. Patrick called the police at night. He claimed he had been robbed. When the police arrived, he told them his story. I was sleeping in my bedroom when some noise coming from the living room woke me up. I rushed there and saw a short man in a mask. When he noticed me, he opened the back door and ran away. He must have got in through the window. He took all my money. The police officers didn't believe Patrick. Why? If the criminal had got inside through the window, he would have ripped off these decorations, but as we see, they're still intact. Mary was a college teacher. It was the beginning of a new school year, and 3 new students joined the class. When Mary saw them, she immediately realized something was off about one of them. Who? It's the guy in the middle. He doesn't have a shadow. Several police officers were called to a hotel where one of the employees was found unconscious on the floor. The police checked security cameras to figure out what had happened. They didn't see the criminal, but now they had 3 suspects, all of them hotel guests. Sarah said, "I heard some noise but stayed in my room because I was scared." James told the police he'd been outside. He was trying to catch a taxi to go sightseeing. And Damien said he'd been sleeping at home at the time of the accident. Who is lying? Damien. He's a hotel guest. Then how could he be at home, sleeping? Bruce owned a large store that sold expensive designer items. Recently, there were several thefts there. The man asked his friend Gabriel, who was a police detective, to check what was going on. Gabriel spent 2 hours in the store. When he left it, he knew who the thief was and who was guilty of these crimes. Look, the thief is the detective himself. He has stolen a pair of costly sunglasses to prove that the store security is very bad. That's the reason for so many thefts. A mad scientist caught Kevin and locked him in a small room. There were no windows and the door was locked. But there was a note on the table. It was from the scientist. JFMAM. JASOND. Guess the missing letter, and I'll let you free. Several minutes later, Kevin was already running away from the strange place. He managed to figure out that the missing letter was J. Those were the first letters of the months of the year, from January to December. And the 6th letter, J, stood for June. Patrick shaves every day, but every morning, he finds his beard to be just as long as it was the day before. How come? Patrick is a barber. He shaves other people.
A high-speed express train is leaving in 15 minutes. Security guards are scanning everyone's bags and find one of these 3 bags very suspicious. Can you guess which one? It's the second luggage. This lady has a heavy book among her things, and the title, Dictionary, has the wrong spelling. Maybe it's just a cover to hide something suspicious? The train departs. Unfortunately, this area is full of rocks, so the road is winding a lot. Only one of these routes will lead the train to the final destination. Can you guess which one? Only the third route is correct. Susan is a first-class passenger. She orders a cup of tea. The waiter brings her what she asked for. Suddenly, Susan sees a fly in her cup and gets terrified. The waiter takes her cup and goes to the kitchen. Then, he returns with a fresh cup of tea. But Susan yells,
You brought me the same cup of tea! Gross!
How did she know? Susan already had added sugar. The tea was sweet when the waiter brought it back. Susan gets bored and takes a walk around the train. She enters a rail car with 3 passengers only, Xavier, Gerald, and Peter. One of them can't wait to meet his 2 daughters when the train arrives at the final destination. He promised to take them to the beach. Can you tell which guy it is? It's Gerald. He has 3 bucket hats on top of his suitcase. These 2 cute bucket hats still have price tags, so he probably bought them for his daughters as a gift. The train has arrived. Gerald rents a car to go to the mansion in the forest where his family lives. Unfortunately, the road is surrounded by multiple possessed wild animals. Suddenly, a black cat jumps on the windshield and Gerald crashes into a tree. He has to leave the car and walk to the mansion on his feet. Soon, Gerald finds himself at a crossroad. Can you guess which route is more or less safe? A, B, or C? All 3 routes have animal footprints. The bushes on the first route are moving even though it's not windy. This means that some animals are hiding behind them. And there's a pair of eyes shining in the dark on the third route. So Gerald will have to move quickly through the second route. It begins to rain heavily. Gerald finds a fancy mansion along the way. The owner invites him inside the house to hide from the rain and grab some snacks. Gerald agrees and finds himself at a glamorous party. There are 3 models eating in the buffet. One of them is broke. Can you guess who? The second lady. Take a look at her bag. She hides some food for later. Gerald walks around the mansion and sees 2 roommates. One of them is a thief. Can you guess who? It's not the first maid. There's an open safe with diamonds and cash in front of her, but she doesn't do anything. Meanwhile, the second lady has already hidden a diamond in her bucket, so she's the thief. Gerald eats a snack and falls asleep. He wakes up in an old basement. The mansion owner locked him up. Gerald finds a sheet of paper on the floor. It says, "I'll give you a chance to get out of here. The key to the door is inside this closed bag. Try to get it." Gerald tries to rip up the bag, but the fabric is too tough. He tries to tear it using his teeth, but he almost breaks a tooth. How can Gerald get the key? He should break a jar and use a fragment of glass to cut the bag and get the key. Gerald opens the door and enters a storage room. There are 3 doors leading to freedom. A forest full of hungry predatory animals is hiding behind the first door. The second route is filled with toxic gas that's impossible to stand for even a second. And there's a fire behind the third door. Which way is more or less safe? Gerald should choose the third door. There are bottles of water in the room, and the fire is rather small. Gerald can easily put it out. Finally, Gerald is outdoors. But there are 3 hidden dangers in this garden. Can you find them? There's a crocodile in these rose bushes. A laser beam alarm system is on. And a scorpion is hiding in a tree. Gerald runs away through the forest, but something's wrong with this place. Can you spot 3 odd details? Take a look at this spruce. Lemons don't grow on this type of tree. This beehive is inhabited by butterflies. Also, there are 2 moons in the sky. Gerald checks into the local motel to get some rest. He leaves his golden watch on the bed and goes to buy some coffee. In an hour, he returns to the room and sees that someone had stolen the watch. Gerald interrogates 3 suspects. The maid says, "I only entered your room once today to clean it before check-in. I have a master key, but it's always with me in my pocket." The woodworker says, "I entered your room an hour ago to fix a creaky bed. Everything's fine now." And Gerald's neighbor says,
I was feeling sick, that's why I went to bed earlier, so I didn't hear anything weird.
"Who stole Gerald's watch?" Nobody. The golden watch fell under the bed. See? The next morning, Gerald goes to the motel's lobby to check out. He finds the manager, Lauren, lying unconscious on the floor. Gerald calls the police. They figure out that someone has put Lauren to sleep using an unknown substance and took all the cash. The police officer questioned 3 people who last saw Lauren conscious and healthy: Rose, Violet, and Lily. After checking out the crime scene, the officer arrests one of the witnesses. Can you guess who and why? Lily. Take a look at her hair extensions. They're not distributed evenly. That's because Lauren pulled out one strand and squeezed it in her fist. She wanted to leave a clue leading to the criminal. Gerald has just come back from his long trip. He's trying to open a suitcase, but realizes that he has forgotten the 4-number code. Luckily, Gerald left a note that can help him remember the code. Can you figure out the code? That would be too easy to use the given numbers as they are. To crack this mystery, we should mind the numbers of letters in each given number. So, the correct code is 5364. Finally, Gerald can keep his promise and takes his daughters to the beach. He also takes some food for a picnic. Can you guess the name of this food by emojis? Sandwich. Gerald and his wife Anna have a lot in common: daughters, careers, and a big house. They do everything together. One day, Anna comes home really late. She's tired but happy. Gerald gets jealous and yells at her. Anna flames out too. "I was working all evening." Gerald says, "Sorry, Anna, I don't believe you. It looks like you're dating someone else." Anna refuses to talk and goes to bed alone. Meanwhile, Gerald waits for Anna to fall asleep and checks her purse. He finds nail polish, a wallet, a pack of gum, lipstick, and some keys. Now Gerald is completely sure Anna was seeing someone else. How did he know? The keys are definitely not from their house. The next morning, Gerald receives an email from his boss. Can you guess the meaning of this message? It means, great job, you got it. This type of code is called a Caesar box because Julius Caesar was known as the first one to write codes this way. To decipher the message, simply divide the code into 4 groups of 4. Then rearrange them vertically. How about a refreshing brain workout? If you're ready, let's start. A man walked into a room and saw 3 doors. The first one had a sign which read, "To the swamps." On the second door, there was a note, "Lion's Den." The third door didn't have any sign, but the man knew for sure where it led. How? It was the door he had entered through. You return from your lunch break and discover that someone has stolen $50 from your bag. There are 4 suspects: Mila, Henry, Jackson, and Victoria. When you ask them about the money, Mila replies she hasn't taken it. Henry says he's pretty sure Jackson's got the money. Jackson shouts, "No way! Henry's lying!" And Victoria claims Mila's telling the truth. Only one of these people isn't lying. Who's taken your money? It's Mila. She, Henry, and Victoria are lying, while Jackson's telling the truth. If anyone else had taken your $50, there would be more than one person telling the truth. Several sparrows landed on trees. One bird for one tree. But in this case, one of them didn't have a tree of its own. Then they regrouped, with 2 sparrows sitting on one tree. After this, one tree was left birdless. How many birds and trees were there? There were 4 sparrows and 3 trees. 3 famous detectives came to a cafe to discuss a tricky case. A waiter came up to them and asked, "Does everyone want coffee?" The first detective said, "I don't know." The second detective answered, "I don't know." And the third detective said, "Yeah." Why did he say no? All the detectives wanted to have coffee, but the first 2 couldn't know if it could be everyone's choice. If the first 2 detectives hadn't wanted coffee, they'd simply have said no. So when the third detective heard the replies of his colleagues, he figured out that both of them wanted coffee. And since he was also going to have a cup, he said yes. Look at this picture and try to figure out who is an alien in disguise. It's the guy in a yellow shirt. He's eating a banana, but he hasn't peeled it before biting into it. He probably sees this fruit for the first time. You have an equation made of matchsticks. 6 plus 4 equals 4. Move just one matchstick to make it true. You need to take one matchstick from the plus sign and add it to 6 so that it makes 8. Then you'll have 8 minus 4 equals 4. Look at this picture. All these people seem to be very close, but who is the girl's husband? It's the guy on the right. He's the only one to have a wedding band on his finger. The next riddle to check how attentive you are. Who is her husband? It's the guy on the left. Look, here's his photo in the car. He's actually the owner of this vehicle. Can you figure out what's wrong here? These guys seem to be wearing smartwatches. Hey, detective, your next task is to understand where the criminal is hiding. Make sure to pay attention to every detail. The criminal is in House A. The car next to his house is parked in a way that makes it easier for the criminal to drive away as fast as possible. Can you figure out which of these people is in the greatest danger? It's this guy. This large icicle is about to fall right on his head. Is the person in the yellow car driving right or wrong? It's a wrong and very dangerous way of driving. The car is moving very slowly, and to overtake it, the next driver will have to maneuver from the leftmost lane to the right one. It can easily cause an accident. How can you get from 98 to 720 by just adding one letter? Add the letter X between 90 and 8. You'll get 90 times 8 equals 720. A wealthy businessman was traveling by a high-speed train. He had a suitcase full of cash on him. The train was moving through a mountainous area with numerous tunnels. After the train left one of the tunnels, the businessman noticed that his suitcase was missing. There were only 4 other passengers in the train car. Matthew said he had broken up with his girlfriend and didn't care about anything happening around. Joseph said that he'd bought his favorite author's novel at the station and had been engrossed in reading. Zoe said that she hadn't seen anything. Her eyes had been tearing, irritated by the smoke coming from the train. And Ellie claimed she had been napping with her sleeping mask on. So, can you figure out who took the businessman's suitcase? It was Zoe. Modern high-speed trains are electric and don't produce smoke. You've got a bag filled with oranges. You need to use these oranges to fill up 2 other bags of the same size. How can you do it? Put one empty bag into the other and fill them with oranges. Detective Marcus and another passerby became witnesses of a car accident. A man, hit by a minivan, was lying on the ground, unconscious. Marcus rushed to the nearest cafe to call an ambulance. When he got back, the passerby told him the man had turned onto his back, but hadn't come to his senses. After looking at the scene for a couple of seconds, the detective said, "You better return everything you've taken from this man." Why did he say so? When they saw the man at first, only one button was buttoned on his suit jacket, but now it's already 2 buttons. The passerby must have opened his jacket to look for the wallet and then buttoned it up incorrectly. Now, imagine you're lost in a forest on a freezing cold winter night. You realize that you have nothing to warm you up. There are 3 options: to stay where you are and call for help, to keep walking until you get out of the forest, and to go on, but take small breaks, sit on the snow, and cover yourself with some branches. What should you choose? If you stay in one place, you'll freeze in no time. Sitting on the snow during short breaks isn't a great idea either. Branches won't warm you up, and you may accidentally fall asleep and never wake up again. The only way to survive is to keep walking. Sarah invited her friend Alice, who was studying to become a police officer, to a party. It was organized by Sarah's friend Sean. Sarah was worried that there might be a thief at this party. Throughout the event, Alice was watching the guests attentively. At the end of the party, she told Sarah who the thief was. Have you figured it out too? It's the host, Sean. At the beginning of the party, one of his guests had a watch on his wrist, and this woman had a beautiful necklace. But at the end of the party, the watch is already on Sean's wrist, and the necklace is in that flower pot. See? Austin, a rich businessman, brought very important documents to his office, but he had a meeting and needed to leave for several hours. Austin asked his secretary to be super attentive. His competitors could try to break into his office to look at the documents. When he came back, his secretary told him everything had been quiet. But when the man looked around, he realized someone had been inside his office. The secretary eventually admitted having fallen asleep while Austin was away. How did the businessman understand someone had visited his office? The globe on his desk is now turned in the opposite direction. Look at these people attentively. Who does this dog belong to? The dog's owner is the guy in the middle. He's the only one who isn't trying to pet the animal.
Hey, Brightsiders, good news. I've got a new brain workout for you. Let's see how alert and attentive you are today. First, some warm-up. Look at this image attentively and try to spot a teddy bear. Here it is, under the table. Great job! Now, find a gift box. It was tough. Here it is, all the way up there. Can you find a coffee cup in this picture? Oh, wow! Who would have thought? I didn't notice it. And you? Look at this picture attentively. According to his message, this guy seems to be missing his girlfriend. But can you figure out if he's cheating? Yep, unfortunately he is. Look at the napkin. There's a lipstick print on it. He must be with another girl. How about this girl? In her message, she's complaining about to her boyfriend that her evening is lonely. But is it? Pay attention to the shower. There's some guy in there. Duh! Look at this image attentively. Can you find 3 words hiding here? Here they are, ring, love, and rose. Now look at this robber. He seems to be in a museum, examining priceless exhibits. Can you figure out which one he's going to steal? Look, he doesn't have a knife on him to cut the painting out of its frame. And the necklace is protected by an alarm. So most likely, the thief will steal the golden goblet. You're on a camping trip with your friends. While they're putting up a tent in the middle of the forest, you decide to wander around and pick up some firewood. Soon, you notice that you've got lost only an hour later. It's getting dark. Suddenly, you see a tiny house. You knock on the door and see a magician. After listening to your story, the magician offers his help. I can give you one superpower, but you need to choose carefully. What do you need more? Night vision, super hearing, or the ability to run lightning fast? What should you pick? Being able to run very fast won't help you because you don't know where to run. Night vision will be useless because trees will prevent you from seeing your friends. Pick super hearing. It'll help you hear your friends calling you. They must be looking for you. Laura had always dreamed of having a dog. As soon as she started living on her own, she got herself an extremely expensive puppy. Once, she had to go on a business trip. She asked Sarah, her housekeeper, Annabelle, her cook, and Phoebe, her sister, to look after the pet. But when Laura came back, her pooch was gone, and all three women claimed they didn't know what happened. Look at them attentively. Who is lying? It's the cook. See? It's the puppy's collar in her pocket. Once, a man came to a police station. He said that he had been robbed on his way to the bank. He was carrying a briefcase with a big sum of money when a man who was wearing a black mask and gloves attacked him. The robber snatched the briefcase and ran away. The police officer listened to the man and asked him about a fresh cut on his right cheek. The man replied that it was from a silver ring the criminal had been wearing. After these words, the policeman immediately knew the man was lying. How did he realize that? Are you as attentive as the police officer to figure it out? The man couldn't know about the ring on the robber's finger since he claimed that the latter had been wearing gloves. Kevin was a doctor from Boston. Once, he asked his boss to let him attend a medical conference in France. The boss let Kevin go, but asked him to send a photo report as soon as he got to Europe. Several days later, the man received an email from Kevin that said, "Hello from France. That's me right now." After looking at the photo, the boss realized Kevin had lied to him. How did he figure it out? In the photo, there's a clock on the wall that shows exactly the same time as the clock in the boss's office. If Kevin was in Paris, the clock would show a big time difference. One guy snuck into a fruit store and wanted to steal some fruit. He took 4 bananas, 2 apples, a watermelon, and a pineapple. But suddenly, someone grabbed his hand. It was the store owner. He said, "I'll let you go if you solve my riddle. A pineapple and an apple cost $18. 3 apples cost $15. Half a watermelon and 2 bananas cost $12. So, how much do 4 bananas, a watermelon, 2 apples, and a pineapple cost?" The guy thought for a minute and said something. After that, the store owner let him go. What answer did the guy give? The guy said that the fruit cost $47. If 3 apples are $15, then 1 apple is $5. Knowing this, we can figure out that the cost of the pineapple, $18 minus $5 equals $13. And if half a watermelon and 2 bananas are $12, then a whole watermelon and 4 bananas cost $24. And if we sum it all up, we'll get $47. Newlyweds left for their honeymoon and asked their neighbor to look after their house. When they returned, the wife found out that she had lost all her expensive jewelry because of a power failure. The woman had hidden her jewelry in an unusual but supposedly safe place. The house wasn't burgled. The neighbor was an honest person. The jewelry got lost by accident. What happened? The wife had hid her jewelry in the freezer, in a bag with frozen food. After the power failure, all the food went bad. The kind-hearted neighbor decided to help and threw away all the bad food, together with the jewelry. Oliver was on his way to another city. It was late evening, and at some moment, the man felt tired and sleepy. He immediately stopped at the nearest hotel and went inside. While the receptionist was looking for an available room, Oliver saw a breakfast flyer with mouth-watering eggs on it. "Excuse me, could I have 4 fried eggs right now?" The receptionist wasn't sure about that. Our cook bought 8 eggs in the morning. He broke 3 and fried 3. So, were there enough eggs left for Oliver? The cook broke 3 eggs and cooked them. It leaves us with 5 extra eggs, which should be more than enough for Oliver. The police arrived in response to Mrs. White's call. Someone had broken into her house and stolen a jewelry box. One of the police officers noticed that the lock hadn't been picked. He asked Mrs. White if she had given her key to anyone. She said, "I left the city for a few days and asked some of my neighbors to take care of my cats. I gave them my key." The police questioned the neighbors. Kate told them she had come every day to take care of the cats. Mark said he had come to water Mrs. White's plants. And Mary told the officers that she had come to borrow a blender from Mrs. White. She added that she often did it, and her neighbor knew about it. Can you figure out who was lying? Look at the cat's bowls. They're empty. And Kate also hasn't cleaned after Mrs. White's pets, so it doesn't look like she had been taking care of animals. Kate is lying. 2 planes took off at the same moment. They both had to fly across the Atlantic, but one plane departed from New York and headed for Paris, and the other left Paris and flew to New York. The first plane's speed was 650 miles per hour, and the other one was moving at a speed of 700 miles per hour. Which plane was closer to Paris when they met? They were both the same distance from Paris, since they met in the same place.
Elvis is a wedding planner. He receives a call from his client, Megan. She's very upset. Megan is getting married in 3 hours, but she has just discovered that her wedding dress is cut in pieces. Elvis comes over with a new dress. He interrogates the bridesmaids. Shannon says, "I was washing Megan's clothes in the bathroom. I don't know what could have happened." Diana says, "I was hanging out with her mom in the garden. I didn't even touch the dress today." And Amy says, "I applied makeup in the dressing room, and then I went to the canteen to have a snack." Who destroyed the dress? Diana. She's hiding scissors in her hair bun. Megan offers Elvis 2 trays with cupcakes. Can you find 10 differences between them? Here they are. The next day, Elvis is having business meetings with engaged couples. Surprisingly, one of these 2 couples are vampires.
Oh no.
Can you guess who? It's all about the mirror. Take a look at the second couple. Their appearance doesn't match the reflection. Therefore, they're vampires. Delivery service brings a fancy bouquet to Elvis's office. It has 77 flowers, out of which all but 15 withered. Can you count how many flowers are still fresh? To solve this mystery, we should pay attention to the question. The phrase, "all but 15 withered," literally means that all except 15 flowers are dry. Therefore, only 15 flowers remain fresh. Elvis shows 2 variants of flower decoration to his clients, William and Tiffany. This couple is very picky. They want their wedding to be perfect. Tiffany says, "But they're identical." And William says, "No, they're not. I can see 5 differences." Who's right? Nobody. In fact, there are 10 differences between these 2 images. After that, Elvis shows William and Tiffany 4 wedding cake samples. Unfortunately, they didn't warn him about their allergies. Tiffany is allergic to strawberries, while William can't stand chocolate. Can you guess which cake they would choose? The first slice contains both forbidden ingredients at once, and the fourth one has strawberry pieces in the middle layer, so we can exclude them. The third cake looks nice, but it still has a chocolate bottom. Only the second cake looks like a completely safe option. Then Elvis asks Tiffany, "What kind of wedding bouquet would you like?" Tiffany replies,
In my dream bouquet, all flowers but 2 should be lilies, all but 2 tulips, and all but 2 roses.
"Can you help Elvis count the total number of flowers in this bouquet?" To crack this riddle, we should pay attention to the phrase, all but 2. The correct answer is 3. Elvis's bestie, Claire, runs a luxurious wedding boutique. One day he comes over and she complains, "Somebody's stealing clothes from my boutique. Each time the guard fails to spot the thief, I fire him and hire another person, but we can't catch the thief." Elvis replies, "Let me take a look." He watches the camera records and spots the criminal right away. What about you? It's this lady. She cut off the labels. Elvis is visiting a small private jewelry shop to make engravings for his clients' wedding rings. But unfortunately, the door is locked and nobody answers his calls. There's a combination lock on the door. Can you help Elvis figure out the letter code to open it? There's a note on the door listing 5 words: diamond, daisy, opal, ruby, and emerald. One word is different from all the others. The correct password is daisy because all the other words are gemstones. Elvis enters the shop and looks around. Suddenly, he sees this wedding picture and freaks out. One of these persons is a werewolf. Can you guess who? It's a full moon, which means the werewolf will turn soon. It's the groom. He's trying to hide his claws in his pocket. Finally, the jeweler shows up and starts a conversation with Elvis. Suddenly, a huge stone breaks the shop window. It seems like someone did it on purpose. They call the police and interrogate 3 people nearby. Paul says, "I was jogging around the block and I didn't hear anything in my headphones." Emma says, "I live above your shop on the 4th floor. I was washing my window and suddenly I heard a terrible sound." And Frank says, "I was walking my dog nearby. I didn't look at your shop. I was too busy taking selfies with my pet." Elvis figures out a liar right away. What about you? Emma, this building has only 3 stories. The jeweler offers Elvis a game.
There are 3 doors leading to a secret room with rare diamonds. If you manage to get there alive, they're yours.
But each way has hidden dangers. A hungry mountain lion guards the first passage. There's an aquarium with hungry piranhas behind the second door. And the third passage is filled with venomous scorpions. Which way is more or less safe? The second one. Elvis can just bypass the aquarium and go ahead. Elvis walks out of the jewelry shop with his brand new diamonds. Suddenly, a masked thief grabs the stones and runs away. Elvis follows him. The thief jumps in a car and leaves. There are 3 car drivers nearby. Each offers Elvis a free ride to catch the criminal, but only one of them is trustworthy. Can you guess who? The first guy's face is hanging on this wall. He's a runaway criminal. and the third guy's car lacks a wheel. Therefore, Elvis should pick the second driver. The thief parks his car near the local museum and hides inside the building. Elvis follows him and enters the main hallway. There are so many visitors here. Looks like the thief changed his outfit. Can you spot him? The thief was wearing a broken smartwatch on his right hand, so it's this guy. Finally, Elvis gets his diamonds back and invests them to fulfill his biggest dream, to open a trendy restaurant. He buys a building and orders furniture and household appliances online. He gets free delivery as a gift. The next day, 3 movers arrive and begin to bring in all the purchases. Unfortunately, one of the guys breaks an expensive TV. Elvis questions the movers. The first one says, "I was carrying the fridge into the house and accidentally dropped it on my foot. I didn't break the TV." The second one says, "I brought the sofa, so I was very busy, and I don't know who's guilty." And the third mover says, "I helped the first one with the fridge, and then I ran to get the first aid kit for his foot." One of them is lying. Can you guess who? The second guy said that he brought the sofa by himself, but it's too heavy for one person. Finally, the restaurant opens. Today is a special night for Elvis. His former classmate, Roger, is a famous restaurant critic. He comes over to check out this place. The evening goes perfectly, but the next day, Roger publishes a terrible review. "Stay away from this dump. It was the worst cake in my life." Elvis is confused. The waiter did everything perfectly. The barista made great drinks, and the chef made 3 perfect meals: soup, steak, and salad. Can you guess what happened here? Roger wrote that he tasted a cake, but it wasn't among the dishes that he actually ordered. Seems like he lied to ruin Elvis's business. The next morning, Elvis arrives at his restaurant and faces another unpleasant surprise. One of these 3 guys painted his window. He interrogates them. Mike says, "It was Harry." Harry says,
I didn't do it. It was Daryl.
and Daryl says, "Mike painted your window." Can you help Elvis figure out who's guilty? Daryl has spray paint in his backpack, but only Harry's hands are stained. He must have messed up Elvis's window and then framed Daryl. Elvis hangs these 2 pictures as decor for his restaurant. Can you spot 10 differences? Here you go. Veronica works in an aqua park. She turns on their shared laptop to write down some tasks. But unfortunately, her new coworker Frank had changed the password. Can you help Veronica figure out the new code without asking Frank? Look at this note next to the laptop. It's a hint. It says goldfish, elephant, shark, dolphin, and jellyfish. One word is different from all the others. The correct password is elephant. This is the only creature that doesn't live underwater. Veronica gets a message from Frank. He got lost in the territory of the aqua park. He sends Veronica his current location, and then his phone turns off. Veronica's watch gives her 3 routes leading to Frank, but her gadget doesn't work properly. Only one of these routes will actually take her to Frank. Can you help her find the correct way? Route B seems pretty twisted, but it's the only way. Veronica finds Frank in a storage room with swim rings and surfboards. There's something really odd about this place. Can you spot what exactly? There's a shark hiding among the surfboards. The chair lacks one leg. There's a starry night behind the right window and a sunny day behind the left window. Veronica wants to challenge Frank's intellect, so she asks him to decide which one of these two triangles is smaller. Can you help him? In fact, both triangles have identical sizes, but different colors create visual confusion. What about these two swim rings? Can you tell which shade is lighter? This one. And what can you say about these two flamingo rings? In fact, they're absolutely identical. Veronica goes to the central pool to check if everything's okay. Can you help her spot 3 weird things? There's a fried chicken swimming in the pool along with people. The pool lifeguard is turning into a werewolf. Take a closer look at her feet. And this swim ring is torn, but it doesn't deflate. Veronica arrives from work and approaches her apartment building. Suddenly, an old TV plummets on the car of her neighbor, Josh. Seems like someone did it on purpose. They call the police and a detective interrogates 3 people living in the building. Sally says, "I just came home. Why would I destroy Josh's car? He's my boyfriend." Tyler says, "The apartment I live in is not under Josh's car, and besides, my right hand is fractured. How could I pull this off?" And Josh says, "It's a new car. I bought it a week ago. But it's okay. I have insurance, so I'm not worried." The detective figures out who did it right away. What about you? If Tyler's hand is fractured, how is he using the same hand to eat lunch and drink coffee? The fork he was using and the mug are both kept on the right-hand side. Veronica lives alone. She spots something really creepy and yells. Why do you think she reacted this way? Take a look at the window. It's closed, yet the curtains are moving. Veronica goes to the kitchen and finds another mystery. Can you guess what's wrong here? The clock on the wall shows 6 p.m., and the electronic clock on the microwave says it's 9 a.m. Meanwhile, it's nighttime outside the window. She goes back to the bedroom and freaks out again. Someone had written these creepy letters on the wall. Can you figure out their meaning? To solve this riddle, we should replace every letter in this note with the one before it in the alphabet, and we'll get library. The next day, Veronica goes to the local library hoping to learn more about paranormal activity in her house. She spots one ghost among the visitors right away. Can you find it too? It's this lady over here. She's the only one who can't grab a material book. Veronica finds a secret hallway in the library and decides to check it out. And eventually, she gets lost. Now, Veronica needs to choose one of these 3 doors to escape. There are thousands of venomous scorpions behind the first door. The second path is all filled with the most dangerous magical potions. They are all fatal for any human when injected. And there's a tank with a family of crocodiles behind the third door. Which way should Veronica choose? The second door is the best choice. Nobody said that she has to inject those potions. Veronica asks Tom again on New Year's Eve. "Promote me or I quit." Tom replies, "I'll only promote you if you can solve my puzzle." Veronica agrees. "Cut this thread in half, but be careful. The ball must not drop and you must not touch it." In a minute, Veronica got promoted because she accomplished Tom's task. How did she cut the thread in half? Veronica tied a knot in the middle first, and then she cut the thread in this manner. Veronica changes a 3-letter password on the office door. Now, she's the only person who knows the new code. She leaves this little clue for her colleagues. Can you figure out the password? The number of flowers shows which letter you should take away from the word flowers, so the new code is owl. Veronica receives a complaint from the aquapark guests. Someone covered swim rings with paint, and now everyone who uses them gets stained. Veronica interrogates 4 witnesses among the swimmers. All 4 claim they didn't do it, but Veronica knows for sure who pulled the prank. What about you? It's the third guy. All 4 witnesses are stained with paint, but this guy has dirty hands only, which means that he didn't ride the prank rings, unlike everyone else. The owner of the aquapark comes with a surprise visit. He decides to quiz the employees to see how well they know the history of the park. Veronica knows that the employees are not ready and secretly offers them a sly plan. When the owner asks his questions, all the employees raise their hands. Veronica picks up one person who gives the right answer. Finally, the meeting is over and the owner is very impressed. Everyone in the office raised their hand on each question even if they didn't know the answer. But still, the person Veronica picked replied correctly each time. How is that possible? Veronica had instructed her employees to raise their right hand if they knew the answer and raise their left hand if they didn't. All she had to do was to always pick the one with the right hand raised. Veronica downloads a dating app, hoping to meet someone special. Here are several pictures of cute guys, but one of them lives with his wife. Can you tell who? It's the second guy. There are 2 pairs of slippers on the floor behind him, and this pair is obviously too small for his feet. A heavy storm hit the city and all the electricity went out. It's completely blacked out. That's why Veronica gets stuck at work alone late at night. She has collected a suitcase with money to carry it to the bank tomorrow. After visiting the toilet, Veronica returns to the office to check the contents of the suitcase. But everything is stolen. Early in the morning, the police interrogate 3 people who knew about the cash. Frank says,
There was no electricity yesterday, so I went to bed. You can check my house's CCTV records. I spent the entire time sleeping.
Tom says, I have a dog. She was terrified because it was too dark. I was singing songs to keep her distracted. And Nina says, I lit a candle to read a book and fell asleep in a chair right away. In 4 hours, your call woke me up. Who is lying? In fact, 2 people are lying here. Frank knew that nothing could have been recorded on the CCTV as there was no electricity. And if Nina really was sleeping, the candle should have burnt out in 4 hours. Shane opens a new beauty salon. He needs to hire some hairdressers and find these 3 candidates online. Bella has impressive experience. Tyler has recently won a prestigious award. Fiona specializes in hair coloring and has a nice Instagram profile. One of these candidates is a liar. Can you guess who? Bella says that she has 25 years of work experience. But according to her profile, she's only 22 years old. That's impossible. So she's the liar. Shane invites Tyler and Fiona to visit the hair salon for a job interview. He wants to test their intelligence and sends each candidate this map. Can you help them find the right destination? Take a closer look. These are English letters. To understand what's written on the map, you need to remove this icon. The hair salon is located over here. Fiona manages to find the beauty salon. Shane wants to test her skills and shows Fiona these 10 tubes of hair dye. Her task is to decide which color is different. Can you help her? This one. What about these 10 cubes? Can you sort one color out? The fifth one doesn't belong here. Shane decides to hire a cleaner for his hair salon, Bobby. Shane asked him to come every Wednesday, but they agree that Shane would pay Bobby $2 per day. But if Bobby would miss a day, he would have to pay Shane $3. After 15 weeks, it turns out that Shane owes Bobby as much as Bobby owes Shane. How many times did Bobby miss work? Bobby missed work 9 days and earned $18. But he also missed 6 days and lost the same amount of money. One day, Shane enters the hair salon and sees 2 clients. One of them is a runaway criminal. Can you guess who? The lady on the right just gets some styling. Meanwhile, the lady on the left is changing her hair color completely to look different. Therefore, she's a criminal. On Sunday, Shane throws a birthday party at home. He invites a bunch of people. In the midst of the event, Shane decides to show his friend his new diamond watch. But he realizes that it's gone. Shane is sure that the thief is among the guests. He identifies several suspects. Violet says, "I came here to keep an eye on my sister, so I was with her all the time." Jeanette says, "I arrived because I got stuck in a traffic jam. Everyone's on their way home from work. So annoying." And Mike says, "Sorry, I was so hungry that I didn't even leave the table." Who's a liar? Jeanette. People can't come back from work. The party takes place on Sunday. At the party, Shane serves 2 dishes with cookies. Can you find any differences between them? Here they are. This night, the beauty salon was robbed. The thieves didn't find any money. That's why they took expensive gadgets and some beauty products. The criminal boss gathers all the thieves in his office to decide what to do with the loot. Suddenly, the room becomes completely dark. When the lights turn on again, the thieves notice their boss unconscious on the floor. His assistant wants to find the guilty person as soon as possible, so he questions everyone. Jeff says, "I went to the toilet at that moment." Carl says, "I was checking the stolen money in a special machine to sort out the fake ones." And Paul says,
I was drinking my coffee and got scared when the light went out.
"Who attacked the boss?" Carl said that he was going to check the money, but there was no money among the stolen items. Only gadgets, so he's a deceiver. The next morning, Shane enters the hair salon and learns about the robbery. He calls the police. The officer arrives very quickly and examines the crime scene, but he finds no signs of a break-in. He questions 3 witnesses. Fiona, the hairdresser, says, "Yesterday, I finished my last haircut at 5 p.m. and went home." Emma, the cleaner, says, "I finished cleaning at 8 p.m., locked all the doors, and went home." And Mia, the nail artist, says, "I had a day off because I was attending a birthday party." Who's lying? Mia. Take a closer look at her hands and the door. One of her false nails is missing because it's stuck in the lock. Shane is choosing new mirrors for his hair salon. Can you help him spot which mirror isn't fake? Only this one has a real reflection. One day, a foreigner enters the hair salon. He doesn't speak English and communicates with emojis. Can you guess his job? He's a radio host. Shane decides to take some pictures for the beauty salon's social media. Each worker strikes a pose. Can you see any difference between these 2 pictures? Here they are. Shane arrives at a new beauty product store. He gets lost in the basement and the door behind him slams shut. Shane needs to enter a 5-number code to open it. Can you help him crack the password? See this note next to the door? It's a clue. Count the number of corners for each shape and you'll get the code. 30465. Finally, Shane arrives at the beauty product store. He spots some weird things about this place right away. How many odd details can you spot? There's a ketchup bottle on a shelf with shampoo. The salesman has 4 hands. This poster advertises a 120% discount, which doesn't make any sense. And finally, this mirror is lying. Shane is walking down the store and sees something very curious on the floor. It's not alive, but it has 5 fingers. What is it? It's a glove. Shane is buying one thing. It comes from a mine and it's surrounded by wood. Everyone uses it. What is it? The correct answer is a pencil. Shane comes outdoors and faces these people. Who has a superpower? It's the guy on the right. On holidays, Shane invites his girlfriend to play hide and seek in the woods with his 3 friends. Suddenly, they find an abandoned house. Shane says, "Hide over there and I'll seek." In a couple of minutes, Shane finds his girlfriend unconscious on the floor inside the house. He questions his friends. Tyler says, "I hid in the courtyard behind the fountain." Pam says, "I decided not to play, and I was reading a book on the beach." Alex says, "I was playing in the garden among the roses." And Dylan says,
I hid lying down behind the trees.
Shane asks everyone to show their hands. Can you guess who's guilty? Tyler. If he hadn't entered the house, his hands wouldn't have been rusty. Shane's brother Kyle is a rich businessman. They have dinner in a restaurant and meet 3 beautiful ladies. Kyle invites them to eat together. Bella is a promising model. She loves orange juice and dogs. Sheila is a divorced housewife. She has 1 little daughter. And Ella is a student and an Instagram blogger. She's in love with her car. That night, Kyle was robbed. One of the ladies stole a briefcase with $1 million. The police caught the ladies the next morning and knew immediately who did it. Can you guess who's the thief? Ella. Someone went shopping. Early in the morning, Shane opens the hair salon and faces an unpleasant surprise. Someone had knocked over a flower pot and left a mess all over the floor. Shane questions 3 suspects. Fiona says, "Yesterday, I had a date. I tidied up my workplace and left at 6 p.m. Bobby says, "I washed the entire place and left home at 8 p.m. My wife can confirm my words." And the new nail artist, April, says, "Yesterday, I didn't have any clients, so I was watching videos all day and left earlier." Can you guess who's guilty? It wasn't people who did it, but these 2 rats. Apparently, they got in at night.
Tina runs a bakery. She finds out that her confectioner, Cherry, is having a secret relationship with one of her coworkers. Only 4 men work in Tina's company. Stanley, the barista. He's a college student. Stanley parties all the time. Dylan, the SMM manager. He works from home because he has to raise 3 sons alone. Sean, the administrator. He has recently moved in with Tina, and now they're engaged. And Frank, the cleaner. He still lives with his mother, and they have 12 cats. Can you spot Cherry's secret crush? It's Dylan. There's a mug with Cherry's name on his table. It also has her lipstick marks. One morning, Tina enters the bakery and sees many clients having breakfast, but suddenly she spots something really odd. Can you see it too? This guy's laptop is upside down. Tina believes that her employee Stanley is not very smart. She decides to challenge his intellect. She gives him 3 envelopes. There's a paycheck in one of them, and there are 3 messages on the envelopes. One is true, and the other 2 are false. Stanley is not allowed to touch the envelopes. He has only 1 attempt to find the envelope with the true statement. Can you help Stanley make the right choice? The 3rd statement is true. Tina goes to the storage room to check the food supply. She spots something creepy and freaks out. Can you see it too? This jar with beans is full of worms. It's snowing. Tina looks outside the window and sees some rabbits playing outdoors. Can you count the exact number? The correct answer is 20. This one is just a toy. Tina and Cherry go outside to make a snowman. After a while, Cherry comes up with an idea. She draws the word snowing in the snow. And then she tells Tina, "I bet you can't solve this riddle. Cross out 1 letter at a time and make as many words as you can." Tina accepts this challenge. She takes a stick and crosses out N, turning the word into sewing. She goes on until she makes 6 words. What words did Tina make? Sewing, owing, wing, win, in, and I. The principal of the local high school enters the bakery to get some coffee. He tells a fresh rumor. Classes began with a huge scandal. One of the teachers wrote offensive things on my door. Can you guess who's guilty? It was this lady. Take a closer look. She's hiding a blue marker in her hair bun. On Monday, Frank cleans the bakery's broom closet and sends a picture to Tina. But on Tuesday, when Tina enters the broom closet, she spots some differences. Can you see them too? There are 12 differences. David offers Fiona to have lunch together. During lunch, he draws her portrait. Then he leaves the table for a while to have a phone call. David and Fiona like each other and agree to meet again. The next day, David's housemaid finds him poisoned in his place. The food was fine. No doubt it was Fiona, but there's no evidence against her. How did she poison David? Fiona smeared poison on the top of his pencil. He often put it into his mouth. In the morning, Tina leaves her apartment and goes to work. In the evening, she returns and calls the police right away. Please come over, someone robbed me. Can you spot what's missing? The robber took these boxes, some books, and a photo frame. Tina is an allergic person. She visits a doctor hoping to treat this issue, but the doctor turns out to be a wizard. He teleports Tina to an alternative reality. Here, pleasure and happiness threaten human life. He captures Tina in his house. She can choose one of these 3 doors to escape. There are cute kittens behind the first door. The second way is full of sweets and chocolate fountains. And the third way is full of people making you compliments. Which way should Tina choose? She's allergic and won't be happy about cats, so the third way is the safest for her. Lily enters the bakery and offers Tina a bet. If she wins, Tina will treat her to free coffee. If not, she'll wash the dishes. Lily: I bet I can make a number disappear. Tina: deal! In a few seconds, Tina had to admit her loss and make free coffee for Lily. How did she win? Lily put G before 1, and now it's gone. Tina receives an anonymous message. One private investigator is about to give away a flash drive with secret information to a client. It will happen in your bakery. This lady seems very suspicious. Tina is watching her. When the lady returns from the bathroom, Tina knows for sure that she's a private investigator. How did she guess? When the lady went to the bathroom, she was wearing high heels, but when she returned, her shoes were flat. She hid the flash drive in a heel. Tina is driving home late. Suddenly, she hears a loud bang. Her car swerves to the side of the road. Tina returns control at the last second. 2 robbers jump out of nowhere. They take Tina's phone and all the cash. And then they vanish. There are spikes all over the road. Her tires were toast. Tina finds a gas station. There's only one person inside, the manager. Tina yells, "Hey, I was robbed! Please call the police!" The manager goes to his office for a couple of minutes. Then he returns and says, "I called the police and a tow truck." When the cops show up, Tina tells them to arrest the attendant. Why? Tina said she'd got robbed, but she never mentioned her car. The gas station guy knew too much. Tina goes to a cooking workshop and takes the chef's pictures. Can you spot any differences between these photos? There are 3 differences. At the workshop, Tina prepares this beautiful dinner. Can you find any emojis here? Here they are. Tina enters her bakery. There's an imposter among the clients. Can you help her find this person? It's this guy. Take a look. He's wearing gloves on his feet. This guy is definitely not from this planet. Tina and Cherry are hanging out at Tina's house. Can you see anything weird in this room? This hourglass runs upside down. Tina and Cherry are discussing their old friend, Rachel. They haven't seen her for a while. Suddenly, somebody knocks on Tina's door. It's the postman with a letter from Rachel. In the note, she says that she was leaving her house and never coming back. Tina and Cherry recognize Rachel's handwriting, but the next sounds very weird. Rachel was always good at writing. She couldn't make such mistakes. They call the police. After reading the note, the officer is sure that Rachel was kidnapped. How did he know? Take the first letter of each word, and you'll get, "Help me, please." The next morning, Tina calls Frank and complains. Someone broke the coffee machine, crushed mugs, and took all the cash. Tina questions 3 suspects. Cherry says, "Yesterday I had an appointment at the dental clinic, so I left earlier." Sean says, "I left the bakery in the afternoon because I had a business meeting downtown. They can confirm my words." And Stanley says, "Yesterday I had a day off to prepare for my college test. I spent all day in the library." Who's guilty? Sean. He dropped one of his cufflinks at the crime scene.
Cassie won a trip to a luxury resort in the Maldives. She goes there on a boat along with 3 other hotel guests. One of these billionaires is fake. Can you guess who? This guy sneaks silverware from the buffet and puts it in his bag. If he's really rich, why would he need that? Speaking of imposters, one of the boat crew members doesn't belong here. Can you guess who? This waitress hides a police badge under her floral garland, so she's probably working undercover. Finally, Cassie comes ashore. 3 porters offer to carry her suitcase. Can you help her choose the right guy? The first guy is a runaway criminal. See this poster on the pier? The second guy is a ghost. He's too transparent for a human being. Therefore, Cassie should choose the third guy. The hotel manager offers Cassie 3 options to choose from. A room on the 8th floor with a gorgeous sea view. A luxurious apartment on the 2nd floor with a garden view. Or a separate authentic bungalow on the shore. What would you choose? The first option doesn't exist because the hotel is only a 5-story, and there's neither an air conditioner nor a fan inside this bungalow, so Cassie should choose the second option. On the beach, Cassie meets triplets, Sienna, Gemma, and Emma. Emma borrows $20 from Cassie. The next morning, Cassie meets one of the triplets in the lobby, but they're so identical that Cassie can't distinguish them. We know for sure that Sienna always tells the truth, while Gemma and Emma always lie. What 3-word question should Cassie ask in order to get back her $20? The correct question is, are you Gemma? Sienna, who only speaks the truth, would say no. Gemma, who always lies, would also say no. And Emma would say yes because she's a liar. Therefore, if the answer is yes, Cassie can demand her money. And if the answer is no, Cassie can ask Sienna or Gemma to remind Emma about her debt. After breakfast, Cassie goes diving. She sees a lot of identical clownfish underwater, but one of them doesn't belong here. Can you spot the odd fish out? This one over here. Underwater, Cassie finds a treasure chest, but it's locked. Can you help her crack the combination lock? There are 3 turtles painted on the treasure chest. Each turtle has a certain number of rings on its shell. It's a hint. If we count the rings, she'll get the code. 8, 4, 5. Cassie opens the treasure chest and finds a pearl necklace. She goes to the local jewelry market hoping to sell it. John says, "This jewelry is not so precious, but I can offer you $50 for one pearl." Noah says, "Trash! These pearls are fake! $5! This is my last price!" And Mia says, "Madam, we can sell it at auction. Rich guys will pay hundreds of dollars for this necklace. I can be your agent and take 15% of the revenue. What do you say?" One of these guys is a scammer. Can you guess who? Noah is wearing another person's work badge. Therefore, he had stolen someone else's identity. Cassie wants to buy a new swimsuit. She walks into a fitting room and sees these 3 pairs of legs. Can you guess who's broke? All 3 women have relatively new sandals, but let's take a look at their toenails. The first lady has an excellent fresh pedicure. The second one doesn't have any nail polish, but maybe she just prefers to look au naturel. And the third lady has toenails with peeled nail polish. Therefore, she's the one who's broke. In the hotel lobby, Cassie meets 2 of her roommates, Tina and Jeff. One of them is a werewolf. Can you guess who just by looking at this picture? Tina is a werewolf. She has handcuffs on her leg. Cassie goes to the beach to sunbathe. There's a vampire on one of these sun loungers. Can you spot where exactly? This pile of ash on the right used to be a vampire. There's a wedding ceremony on the beach. Unfortunately, after dinner, all the males at this party turned into zombies. Can you guess which zombie is her husband? It's this guy. He's wearing a ring. In the evening, Cassie arrives at an abandoned haunted village to film a video for her vlog. She spots 5 weird things about this place right away. Can you see them too? These orchids have teeth. Who left these huge claw marks on the wall of this house? It's summertime, but there's a snowman in the garden. There are 2 moons in the sky, and this cow doesn't have any shadow. Cassie returns to the hotel and sees a hot mess. Someone has been rummaging through her stuff. She interrogates 3 suspects. The maid says, "I cleaned your room in the afternoon. All your clothes and personal belongings were neatly folded in the closet. When I left, I locked the door." The plumber says, "I also entered your room in the afternoon to fix the toilet. Luckily, everything's fine now." And Cassie's neighbor says, "I was listening to music with headphones. So, I didn't notice anything weird. Who's lying? It's the plumber. He said he fixed the toilet, but it's still clogged. One of the hotel guests, Peter, likes Cassie. He wants to impress her and shows her some pictures from his travel blog, but Cassie spots a fake right away. How? Take a look at the wind direction in this picture. In the background, the wind is blowing to the left, but his hair is blowing to the right. Therefore, Richard had photoshopped himself. Someone had broken the most expensive statue in the hotel lobby. The manager interrogates 4 suspects among the guests to find out who's guilty. Melanie says, "I'm not into art. I haven't even noticed this statue before." Steven says, "Sorry, dude. I've been out skydiving all day long." Zach says, "Don't worry, that sculpture was tasteless. I'm an art dealer and I can get you a new one." And Sophie says, "I was chilling at the spa, so I didn't see anything." Can you spot who's guilty? Melanie, she lost her left earring in the very middle of the crime scene. Cassie gets an invitation from 3 hotel guests. Gail shows her picture of a fancy villa and says, "I'm a billionaire. You're welcome to come over to my villa and stay for as long as you want." Bella hands her 2 tickets to the opera and says, "We can go together tomorrow night." And Ricardo just shows her the keys to his boat and offers a ride across the globe. But only one of these offers isn't fake. Can you help Cassie make the right choice? There's a for sale sign near the villa, so Gail's offer doesn't look trustworthy. Take a closer look at the gate on the opera ticket. It expired centuries ago, so Cassie should trust Ricardo. Cassie goes to the hotel restaurant to have dinner. There's a butterfly hiding among the buffet. Can you find it? It's over here. Just look at this. A car has crashed into a restaurant window, smashing it. Detective Harris has come to investigate the case. There are 2 suspects, Julie and Douglas. But each of them claims that the other person did it. Can you help the detective figure out who is lying? It's Julie. The tire tracks on the ground belong to her car. Adam was driving home late at night when he noticed he was about to run out of gas. He stopped at a gas station to fill his tank and buy some snacks. Inside, there was a cashier and another customer dressed in black. When Adam came up to the employee to pay, she told him $5.05. Adam paid, went outside, and called the police to report an emergency. Why did he do it? The cash register showed $18.35, but the cashier said $5.05, which looks like SOS. Detective Harris was walking along the street when he heard some noise. He decided to check out what had happened. It turned out that some man had grabbed an elderly lady's bag and run away. The detective ran in the direction the witnesses showed him. After he turned the corner, he saw 3 doors. He knocked on the first one. The apartment owner, Patrick, opened the door. The man told the detective he'd just returned from a long run. Another man, Jerry, opened the second door. He said he'd been playing basketball behind his house. The third apartment belonged to Raymond, a musician. He had just finished composing a new piece of music. After talking to all these people, Detective Harris understood who the criminal was. Have you figured it out? The thief is Jerry. He claimed he'd been playing basketball, but he was holding a football while talking to the detective. Sarah and her sister Mary were doing some shopping. When they were leaving a grocery store, Sarah pointed at some young man and exclaimed, "Look, my nephew is over there!" Her sister replied, "Oh right, but it's not my nephew." How is it possible? The young man is Mary's son. Gemma returned from Asia and brought a precious porcelain figurine. She organized a party and invited all her friends to tell them about her journey. They had a great time, but after her friends left, the woman realized the figurine had disappeared. She called the police and showed them the photos she had taken at the party. One of the officers immediately realized who had stolen the figurine. Did you understand it too? It was this girl. She hid the figurine under her hat. At 9 a.m., Ethan got a call from his friend, an owner of a large business. The man said that a very important document had disappeared from his office. It had been on his desk the evening before, but now it was nowhere to be found. Ethan immediately came there to question his friend's employees. Soon, he had 3 suspects. Walter said he'd spent the previous evening at the movies. Joan had dinner with her friends, and Zachary visited an art gallery. It didn't take Ethan long to understand who was lying. Do you know it too? It was Walter. His ticket isn't torn. It means he didn't enter the movie theater. Now, look at these hands and try to figure out which person is married. If you look at the first hand attentively, you'll realize it doesn't belong to a grown-up person. On the second hand, there is a mark left by a ring, but there's no ring itself. It must mean that the person is no longer married. On the third hand, there's no ring either, but it's the right hand, and we wear wedding rings on the left hand. So out of these 3, this person is most likely to be married. Okay, the next challenge is for you. Look at these 3 men. They're at the airport. Which of these guys is married? All of these men are holding their passports and tickets in their hands. None of them is wearing a wedding ring. But pay attention to the man sitting on the bench. On his ticket, it's written, "Family discount." So, he must be the one who's married. Now look at this picture attentively. Does anything strike you as strange? It's winter, but butterflies are flying around the snowman. Now, try to figure out what's wrong with this image. It's the snowman again. Instead of a carrot, his nose is made of broccoli. And the last image for you to analyze. Why does the guy on the right need ski poles if he's going to snowboard? Marcus woke up in a dark basement with just one candle burning on the table. He saw 3 doors in one of the walls and 3 keys lying on the table. How many attempts will the guy need to figure out the key for each door? He'll need 6 attempts at the most. 3 of them for the first key, 2 attempts for the second key and 2 remaining doors, and just 1 attempt for the last key. But if Marcus is extremely lucky, he might need just 3 attempts. Alicia's mom asked the girl to do some grocery shopping. She gave her a shopping list and her bank card. but the woman knew her daughter was very absent-minded. That's why she gave Alicia a small note in case she forgot the card's PIN number. When the girl was at the register, she realized she had indeed forgotten the PIN. Alicia pulled the note out of her pocket and immediately remembered the code. Can you figure out what it was if the note had a fly, a cat, a person, and a snake drawn on it? The PIN was 6420. Alicia just had to count the number of legs of each creature. A fancy restaurant in Los Angeles was offering a promotional deal. A married couple could eat at the restaurant for half price on their anniversary. To prevent scams, the couple would need proof of their wedding date. On a Thursday evening, a couple entered the restaurant and claimed it was their anniversary, but they didn't have any proof. The restaurant manager was called to speak with the couple. When the manager asked to hear about their wedding day, the wife said, "Oh, it was a wonderful Sunday afternoon. Birds were chirping and flowers were in full bloom." After nearly 10 minutes of ranting, she told the manager that today was their 28th wedding anniversary.
How lovely, the manager said. However, you do not qualify for the discount. Today is not your anniversary. You are a liar.
How did the manager know it wasn't their anniversary? The calendar repeats itself every 28 years. So if they were married on a Sunday 28 years ago, the day they came to the restaurant would also have to be a Sunday. But since it was a Thursday, the manager knew they were lying. John called the police to report that his friend Mark had disappeared. He explained that 2 weeks earlier, he had offered Mark to live in his beach house in Miami. He wanted his friend to enjoy some summer heat, but when John returned from a half-month-long business trip to Chile, he found out that Mark was missing. The police listened to John's story and understood the man was lying. How did they figure it out? If it was summer in Miami, it was winter in Chile. And still, John came back suntanned. It means he hadn't been to Chile. Maya was in the gym doing the workout her personal trainer had prepared for her. It was tougher and longer than her usual ones. Exhausted, Maya returned to the changing room only to find her expensive bag gone.
Oh no!
She immediately called the police. They had 3 suspects. Maya's trainer said that he had been preparing a new program for his clients. Emma, another gym goer, said she had been running on a treadmill for 2 hours. The cleaner said he had been washing the swimming pool. Who took Maya's bag? It was her trainer. He knew Maya was going to have a long workout and wouldn't return to the changing room anytime soon. Kitty runs a dance show. She arrives in Finland with the 3 best dancers to perform during the Christmas holidays. On the first day of their trip, Kitty was found unconscious in the hotel room. Doctors claim that someone had poisoned her. The police interrogate all the dancers. Kira says,
My colleagues and I left the hotel early in the morning to explore the city, and Kitty stayed in the room for a conference call. I had a date with my online boyfriend, Mikkel.
Pam says,
I went to the beach to sunbathe and swim. When I returned, I saw Kitty on the floor.
And April says,
I went to the museum alone. Nobody wanted to join me.
Who's lying? Pam, it's Christmas Eve, so it's too cold in Finland. She couldn't swim in the sea.
Oh no!
The police arrested Pam, and now Kira and April urgently need to find a new dancer for their show. They look through some profiles online and select these 3 ladies, Deborah, Sally, and Lily. But only one of them isn't fake. Can you guess who? Deborah's profile looks good, but take a closer look at the shadow in her picture. Her head is photoshopped to a different person's body, therefore, she's fake. And according to the third lady's birth date, she hasn't been born yet, so they should choose Sally. April, Kira, and Sally are performing in a music hall, but first, they go to the dressing room to prepare. Suddenly, the local security guard comes in and announces, "Stay where you are! We have to recheck all the luggage! There's a runaway criminal among the actors!" Here's the luggage left by 4 guys who are playing Santas. Can you spot the criminal? Santa never shaves, so the second luggage looks pretty suspicious because it has shaving cream. The remaining 3 Santas open the performance. They look absolutely identical in their costumes. After the show, they go backstage and take off their beards and hats to drink some coffee. This is Carl, Peter, and George. After the break, they put on the costumes again and go to the after party. Can you decide which one of them is Carl? Carl was mixing sugar in his coffee with his left hand. It means that he's left-handed. And this Santa signs an autograph with his left hand. Therefore, he's Carl. After work, Kira and April go to the local parade. Can you help them find a sheep among all these Santas? There it is. What about these reindeers? Can you see any bears among them? Hello? Kira and April enter a shopping mall and face 4 Santas buying gifts for their families. Meanwhile, the mall security guard receives a call from the police. A mysterious thief in a Santa suit has robbed multiple gift shops. They figured out that this mall should be next. The guard asked everybody to stay where they are. Can you help him find the criminal? It's the third Santa. He's hiding a couple of crowbars in his bag. Also, his beard and mustache are different from the other Santas. Kira and April decide to throw a party in the hotel room. April decorates the room and sets up the Christmas tree. Meanwhile, Kira cooks dinner and prepares gifts for 3 people: Thomas, Sally, and Mikkel. The guests arrive and the party begins. At some point, they notice that someone has stolen all the gifts. Kira believes it must be one of the guests, so she questions everyone. Every guest makes 2 statements, 1 truth and 1 lie. Thomas says, "I wasn't in the room when it happened. I know Mikkel stole the gifts." Sally says, "Mikkel stole them. I saw it. I already have enough presents." And finally, Mikkel says, "I didn't steal the gifts." Thomas tells the truth. He wasn't in the room. Who stole the Christmas gifts? If Thomas is the thief, both of his statements would have been false, and if Mikkel is the thief, then all of Thomas's statements would have been true. Therefore, Sally stole the gifts. Frank is staying in a hotel room next to Kira. The day before Christmas Eve, she knocks on his door to borrow some toothpaste. The door is open, and Frank is lying unconscious on the floor. Later that day, doctors figured out that he was poisoned. Kira questions 3 people. All of them are Frank's roommates. Jeff says, "Today I've had dinner with my girlfriend. I only saw Frank in the morning, and he was feeling great." Thomas says, "We had breakfast with Frank in his room this morning. He was in a great mood." And Ellie says, "I've just returned. I had to buy gifts for my family, so I've been shopping all day." Who poisoned Frank? The screensaver is out of date. Frank left a hint with his enemy's name. It was Thomas. Kira, April, Mikkel, and Frank rent a cozy country house to celebrate Christmas. April bakes gingerbread men cookies and leaves them to cool down on the kitchen table. She hasn't applied the frosting yet. So, she asks the others to stay away from the cookies. April goes upstairs to change. In 10 minutes, she returns and sees that someone took a bit off every cookie. April gets furious. She asks the others, "What were you doing within the last 10 minutes?" Mikkel replies, "I was building a snowman outside. I have no idea what was going on in the house." Frank says, "I was decorating the Christmas tree with these balls." And Kira replies, "I was watching my favorite movie in the bedroom. It was so loud that I didn't hear anything." April already knows who's lying. What about you? Frank is lying. There's no balls on the tree. Santa comes home earlier and finds his elf Bobby on the sofa. He's bewitched by an eternal sleep spell. Santa asks the other elf, Chuck, a question.
What happened here? Only you two were at home.
Chuck replies,
We were packing the gifts and decided to have a lunch break. Suddenly, I heard a loud sound outdoors and ran out to see what was up. I spent about 20 minutes there, and then I returned back home. Bobby was already unconscious.
Santa calls Chuck a liar. Why? Chuck said he spent 20 minutes outdoors, but the coffee cups are still hot. He bewitched Bobby and staged the scene. Kira comes home to her family's house. She's looking forward to eating the walnut cookies she bought at the airport, but she has to eat them outside because her mother is allergic to all types of nuts. After a while, Kira looks inside her bag and sees that all the cookies are gone. Kira suspects her brothers, so she asks,
Who ate my cookies?
Dylan replies, I was making apple pie with Mom. Paul says, I was decorating the living room. Kevin says,
I was making a sandwich with peanut butter for Mom.
And Ralph says, I was just watching the TV and eating my popcorn. Now Kira knows who took her cookies. What about you? Kevin is lying. They have the same mother, and as we mentioned earlier, she's allergic to all nuts. During the family dinner, Dylan receives an email and begins to cry. Kira asks, What's wrong? Dylan replies, I'm a beginner photographer, and I've sent my best picture to the photo contest. I was expecting to win the first prize, but they disqualified me. Can you figure out why just by looking at this picture? The stars are over the moon. It's impossible. Kira is looking for her mother all over the house, but someone used black magic to turn her into a statue. There's a note nearby. It only has a question mark written with green pencil. Kira decides to question the Green family next door. Zelda says, I was painting in the attic as usual. Oliver says, I was cooking soup for my family. Mark says, I was looking for my missing cat downtown. And Wanda says, I was playing video games in the basement and heard nothing. Who cursed Kira's mom? The clue literally says, question mark green.
A rich lady booked into one of the best hotels in the city. When she got her key, she noticed that her bags had been stolen.
Oh no!
The police interrogated 3 main suspects. Mr. Kramer said, I'm going to see my friends now. I've spent the day in my room. Mrs. Harrelson said, I wouldn't steal anything. I'm rich. Mr. Scott said, I've been walking my dog and have just returned. I know nothing about it. Who is the criminal? Have you noticed the sign, No Pets Allowed, on the hotel door? This hotel has a no pets policy, so Mr. Scott couldn't walk his dog. they wouldn't have checked him in with one. Riley is studying abroad and has a boyfriend her family doesn't know about. Her parents don't approve of dating until she graduates. Riley spent the semester break with her boyfriend on his family's farm, but she told her parents that she had been in New York with her friends. When her mother asked for photos, Riley photoshopped herself into one of her friends' photos. When her mom saw the photos, she understood that Riley had lied. How? Look, Riley is the only person in the photo who doesn't have a reflection in the mirror behind. This is what gave her away. Mrs. Brown is the owner of an apartment building with a no-pet policy. Not even fish are allowed. One night she hears a dog barking on the floor above her apartment. The next day she inspects 2 apartments upstairs. In which apartment does the dog live? Look, there is a dog leash hanging in this apartment. It must be the one. Even after the tenant with the dog had moved out, Mrs. Brown kept hearing some barking. She thought it was phantom noises, but a week later she decided to check 2 more apartments. Take a close look at them and try to figure out if a dog lives one of them. Yes, a dog lives in this apartment. Look, there is a dog hair all over the bed. Jane came home from school, looking forward to eating her favorite waffles she had prepared in this morning. Unfortunately, someone had eaten half of them. Furious, she questioned 2 people in the house, her friend and her dad. Both of them were sitting at the kitchen table. Both denied having touched her food. Who lied? Her father lied. Look, there are waffle crumbs in his mustache. Alice participated in a game show and she won 3 exclusive gifts. A Dolce & Gabbana wallet, a backpack from Dior, and a Tesla. But here is a catch. She is to pick her presents herself by choosing between the original and the replica. Can you help her pick the correct prizes? Here are 2 Dolce & Gabbana wallets. One of them is the original and the other is a replica. Which one should Alice choose? This one, it has the correct logo, so it must be the original. Now look at these seemingly identical backpacks. Only one of them is the original Dior bag. Which one? This one. This logo is correct. And finally, the car. Let's see if you remember the Tesla logo. Yes, this is the one. Great job! Daniela graduated from FBA Academy and applied for a job at several secret agencies. She got an acceptance letter from one of them, but it didn't contain any instructions. In the end, there was a number. She tried to call it, but it turned out it didn't exist. Take a look at the acceptance letter. Can you help Daniela figure it out? It's a secret message, of course, and figuring it out is one of the tasks. Daniela should pay attention to the highlighted words. Then, from each of them, she should take the letter that corresponds with the number at the bottom of the page. If she does it, she'll see Small Lake at 11. Daniela got the job, and now she's on her first case. Amelia's cat was stolen, and she asked Daniela to find it. Daniela paid a visit to several neighbors and questioned them. Jake said, I have 2 dogs. I wouldn't steal a cat. Mike said, I don't like animals, so I'd never get a pet. And Jessica said, I'm not even allowed to have pets in this apartment. Who stole Amelia's cat? Have you noticed a cat house in Mike's apartment? Why does he have it if he doesn't like pets? He must be the cat napper. Another day, another crime. Daniela was following a shoplifter who had stolen an expensive purse from a Louis Vuitton store. Suddenly, the criminal entered a hospital and disappeared into the crowd. Daniela went inside. She saw 3 visitors. One of them must be the shoplifter pretending to be a patient. Can you tell who it is? It must be this woman. That young woman is pregnant, and this one is wearing high heels, so she wouldn't have been able to run fast. On Monday morning, a big sum of money went missing from the accountant's safe, and Daniela arrived to investigate. She had 3 suspects. John said, I was in my office all morning because I needed to do some urgent work. Elizabeth said, I was drinking my morning coffee in the cafeteria and answering emails. And Julia said, I was in my office finishing some tasks I didn't have time to do yesterday. Who should be Daniela's main suspect? Julia. She mentioned some tasks left from the day before, but it was Sunday. Daniela was spending her Sunday in a theme park when she heard 2 people arguing. It turned out they were arguing over the car keys left in the park's lost and found. Both were claiming them. Take a close look at them and decide who the keys really belong to. The guy is blind, so the car keys must belong to this woman. Daniela stayed in the park, and she had to crack some more cases that day. She needs your help, so have a look. Another lost and found item is this iPhone. Who do you think it belongs to? This girl's phone is in her pocket, so the iPhone most likely belongs to the other woman. And the last item is a Louis Vuitton purse. 2 girls are claiming it, but who is the rightful owner? Look, the purse has a keychain with the name Ella. It's the name of the girl on the right. At least that's what her name tag says, so the purse must belong to her. Ned works in a club. His job is to check people's ID cards and not to let any suspicious people in. Take a look at these IDs and figure out who isn't supposed to enter the club. So here's the first one. What would you say about this man? Don't let him in. The man was born on the 3rd of February, but this date doesn't even exist. It must be a fake ID. Okay, here's the next candidate. What's your verdict? He seems fine. He can come in. Okay, here's the next guest. In or out? What do you think? She seems fine for me. Okay, next. Luke, what is your decision regarding this one? Look, in the picture the woman has a birthmark on her cheek, but in reality she doesn't have any. That's suspicious. Don't let her in. Okay, another one for you. Look, the city isn't specified here. It just says Nevada. It's not what other IDs look like. So this one must be fake. I wouldn't let her in. And what about this girl? Would you let her in? She seems alright. Green light.
April, May, and June are three sisters. One day, April says, "Girls, have you noticed that we're all born in the 3 months our names signify, but none of us was born in the month of her name?" "Yes, it's a bit confusing," the girl who was born in May replied. "Who was born when?" Since no one is called their birth month, then April must be born either in May or June. But the girl who responded to her was born in May, so April was born in June. The girl who responded can't be May and can't be April, so she is June. And the girl who remained silent must be May, who was born in April. It was summer break, and Riley's friends invited her to go camping. Riley didn't like camping, but she also didn't want to admit that she'd rather stay at home watching TV. So she said that her parents had invited her to go on vacation, but she stayed at home and was binge-watching TV shows. Her family was sending her vacation photos, and Riley photoshopped herself in one of them and sent it to her friends. When her friends saw the photo, they realized that Riley wasn't on vacation. How? Look, Riley is the only person in the photo who doesn't cast a shadow. Mrs. Collins went on a business trip, and her daughter stayed in the house alone. Of course, the girl wanted to throw a party. Her mother knew it was inevitable, so she gave her permission, but on one condition. There should be no more than 5 people in the house. In the late evening, Mrs. Collins called a neighbor and asked her to check the house. Here's what the neighbor saw when she approached the house. How many girls are partying there? There are just 4 girls visible in the windows, but it doesn't mean that we can see everyone. Let's better count the shoes by the door. There are 6 pairs of shoes, so there must be 6 girls inside. And now here's a tricky riddle for you. There are 4 houses on the street. The red house is made of red bricks. The yellow house is made of yellow bricks. Next, there's a white house that is made of white bricks. And the last house is a green house. What is the green house made of? Well, greenhouses are made of glass. Did you get it right, or did I trick you? Mrs. Jones finished cooking dinner and went to the living room to call her triplets for dinner. When she walked in, she saw her favorite vase shattered on the floor. "Who did it?" she asked, but none of them admitted. Look at the triplets and tell who you think is guilty. It must be this boy in the middle. Look, his hands are dirty, and the same stains can also be observed on the shattered vase. Cassidy participated in a game show, and she won. She won 3 exclusive gifts: an Apple smartphone, an original Louis Vuitton purse, and a Cadillac. But here's a catch. She is to pick her presents herself by choosing between an original and a replica. Will you help her pick the correct prize? Here are 2 iPhones. One of them is an original, and one of them is a replica. Which one should Cassidy choose? This one has the correct logo, so it must be the original. Now, there are 2 identical purses, but only one of them is an original Louis Vuitton purse. Which one? This one, with the correct logo. And finally, a Cadillac. Can you recognize the original logo? This is the one. Evie has always wanted to get a dog, but her mom wouldn't allow her. Once, she found a puppy on the street and brought it home and hid it from her mother. Evie had kept it for 2 weeks without her mom knowing. But one morning, Evie's mom walked into the room and realized that there was a dog living in her daughter's room. How did she understand it? Look, there's a dog bowl and dog food in Evie's room. Amanda lives in a small town. Her favorite artist just announced that she will come there for a concert. So, Amanda needs money to get a ticket, and she decides to find a summer job. She has 3 options. One option is to work on a project in a call center, which will last a month, and she will get $350 in the end. The second option is to work in an ice cream shop, where she will earn $90 a week. The third option is walking the dog of one of her neighbors, and she'll get $10 per day for this. Which job should she take to earn the $170 needed for the concert ticket as soon as possible? A call center is a bad option. It'll take her a whole month to get the money. If she walks the dogs, she'll have $170 in 17 days. But if she works in the ice cream shop, she'll earn $180 in just 2 weeks. That's the fastest option. Esme was having a walk in the forest and got lost. But she found a witch's house. The witch agreed to send Esme home, but only if she helps her first. The witch was making a new potion and needed one of the herbs from the box.
It's one of the big ones with leaves, and not next to the one with the orange flower.
Which one is it? Okay, there are just 3 big ones, so it's one of those. Not next to the orange flower, so not this one. And only one of the remaining ones has leaves, so this is the one. In a big airport, the bags of 3 strangers got messed up. Take a look inside the bags and decide which bag belongs to whom. Okay, the bag with dresses and makeup most probably belongs to this woman. The bag with the professional photo camera probably doesn't belong to the blind man, so it's the bag of the other man. And the last bag belongs to him. Mrs. Lawrence had 3 teenage daughters, Leah, Chloe, and Della. They were all grounded and couldn't leave the house. Still, a neighbor saw one of the girls in a mall. Mrs. Lawrence came home and asked the girls what they were doing. "I was in the house preparing for my history test," said Leah. "I was doing puzzles in my room," shrugged Chloe. "I was gardening," said Della. Who lied? Look, Leah and Della both have dirty shoes. That's not suspicious of Della since she was in the garden. But Leah wouldn't get her shoes dirty if she spent the day in the house with a history book. Ned works in a club, and his job is to check people's ID cards and not let any suspicious people get in. Take a look at these 3 ID cards and figure out who wasn't supposed to enter the club. So here's the first one. She seems fine. Let her in. What do you say about this guy? Don't let him in. The month and date are flipped. He must have a fake ID. Okay, next. Look, in or out? Look, the photo of this young lady isn't made on a white background, as documents require. That's suspicious. So the ID must be fake. Ned shouldn't let her in. Okay, here's the next guest. What's your verdict? He seems fine to me. What about this woman? In or out? She seems all right. Green light. Okay, another one. In or out? Look, the woman in the pictures looks similar to the woman in reality, but she has a different eye color. It must be a different person. I wouldn't let her in.
Jenny and Ben were about to get married. They wanted to book a hotel for their wedding ceremony in the party. So they went to a wedding planner to look at some options. She told them only 3 hotels were available for the day they wanted and showed them the pictures. Which one should they choose? Take a closer look at the 3rd floor windows of the first hotel. In the last window on the right, there's a creepy shadow of a monster that appears and disappears. 5 stars or not, no one would like to get married in a haunted place unless they're an Addams Family member. In the 3rd hotel, only has 2 stars. It probably doesn't have the facilities to host a wedding, so the best choice is the 2nd hotel. Great choice, the wedding planner said, and you're in luck because they actually have a great discount offer. If you can answer this riddle correctly, you won't have to pay for the ballroom rental. Here it is. Those who have it, do not say it. Those who take it, do not know it. Those who know it, do not want it. What is it? Do you know the answer? It's fake money. The next day, Ben and Jenny went to the hotel to pick the best ballroom for their party. The hotel manager took them to 3 different rooms where they could host everything, from the ceremony itself to the dinner and after party. Which one should they pick? Do you see a little mouse hole in the corner of the first ballroom? The couple wouldn't want such uninvited guests at their party. As for the 2nd ballroom, the chandelier looks like it might fall down any minute. Not the safest option, so they should pick the 3rd ballroom. It was time for Ben and Jenny to pick the wedding menu. Since they were not paying for the venue, they wanted to spare no expense in serving food that the guests would never forget. That's why they called 3 different Michelin star chefs. Each of them prepared a different dish and presented them for a tasting. Which chef, and therefore which dish, should they go for? Even though the dish the 2nd chef made looks perfectly fine, do you see a rat's tail hanging from his chef's hat? There must be some ratatouille situation going on there. So that's a pass. The 3rd dish looks like spaghetti, right? Well, look again. Those are actually very thin snakes. Exotic flavors might not be the best option, so they better go with the classical burger that the first chef made. Before they made their wedding vows, Jenny had to say yes to a dress. So, she went to a couture store to check their wedding gown collection. She explained to the designer the style of the dress she wanted for her ceremony. The designer said he had just the perfect gown for her and would bring it to her if she answered his riddle correctly. He asked, if a gown takes an hour to dry, how many hours will it take 6 dresses to dry? It'll still take 1 hour because they'll all dry at the same time. Ben had one last item to buy on his wedding shopping list, and it was what fastens two people yet touches only one. Can you figure out what it is? It's a wedding ring, of course. Ben headed to a jewelry store to get something blue for his bride. The store owner showed him 3 different wedding rings with blue gemstones. Which one should he buy? The second ring has an engraving inside, so it must have belonged to someone else before. The gemstone on the third ring has a tiny crack in it. That can only mean it's made of glass or even plastic. So, Ben should buy the first ring with a sapphire. Next, Ben and Jenny were going to send out invitations. One print shop offered them 3 different versions of invitations. Which one should they choose? Do you remember the name of the hotel they booked? It was Sunrise Lodge, but the first invitation says Sunset Lodge. So this one won't do. And on the third invitation, their names are printed as Benny and Jen. That's not our couple, so they should choose the second invitation. Before the wedding, 3 of their friends paid them a visit. One of them brought a painting as a wedding gift, but all 3 claimed that they were the artist who had created it. 2 of them must be lying. Can you figure out who the actual artist is? Take a look at the signature on the painting. It says Denise. Now look at the third friend's necklace. It has the letter D, so she must be Denise, the artist who painted the painting. It was finally the day of the wedding, and Ben and Jenny's guests started to arrive. However, the hotel security spotted 3 suspicious-looking people who could be uninvited. Take a look at these 3 guys. Can you tell which one is not supposed to be at the wedding? Do you see the hotel wristbands that say Ben and Jenny that the second and the third guys are wearing? That can only mean they are actually invited. So it's the first guy who's crushing the wedding. Sorry, dude, no free drinks for you. After the vows were exchanged, it was time to party. As Ben and Jenny were dancing, someone spilled their drink on Jenny's dress, but no one saw who it was. Jenny spotted 3 people who could have done it. Take a look at them. Can you tell who ruined her dress? The first guy has spots on his shirt that resemble stains from the spilled drink, but they are actually part of the pattern, so it can't be him. The third lady looks clean, but the hem of the second lady's skirt looks dirty, so it must be her who did it. After the ceremony ended, Ben and Jenny wanted to take a photo to capture the moment forever. But take a look at it. There's something strange about it. Can you spot what it is? Can you see a woman hiding behind the trees watching them? She is wearing a witch hat, but it's a wedding ceremony and not a costume party. Creepy. Right before leaving, Jenny suddenly vanished. Then the witch suddenly appeared in front of Ben and said, "You may only kiss the bride if you figure out with whom you really tied the knot. Ha ha!" Then 2 Jennys appeared in front of Ben. Can you tell which one is his real wife? Remember the wedding photo? The Jenny on the left is the real one because her tattoo is on the same side as in the photo. Now that Ben and Jenny's wedding was over, phew, it was time for them to pick a honeymoon destination. They went to a travel agency to book a tour. The travel agent offered them 3 different holiday destinations: Ibiza, Cannes, and the Caribbean. Which one should they go to? Have you noticed the weather forecast on TV in the office? It states that the weather in Ibiza is going to be windy in the upcoming days, and in Cannes, it's going to be rainy. So they should pick the Caribbeans and enjoy the sun. The travel agent said she could upgrade their plane tickets to business class for free. It would be her wedding gift to them. But they had to crack this riddle. What can travel around the world while staying in a corner? It's a stamp.
Allison has 2 coins which total 35 cents. If one of the coins isn't a dime, what are the 2 coins Allison has? Well, one is not a dime, but the other one is a dime. So Allison has a quarter and a dime. Let's start with a couple of simple teasers to warm up your brain for today's challenge. The day before yesterday was the 17th. What is the day after tomorrow? If the day before yesterday was the 17th, it means that today is the 19th. So the day after tomorrow is the 21st. Wendy's birthday was yesterday. She turned 16 years old. Yet, she's turning 17 this year. How is it possible? Wendy's birthday must be December 31st, and today must be January 1st, already the new year. A family is on vacation, carelessly chilling at the beach all day long. They were drinking their iced cocktails when suddenly, the youngest daughter, Odette, asked,
What day of the week is today?
No one knew. The father said, I only know what tomorrow is, neither Thursday nor Friday. The mother said, And I'm sure that yesterday wasn't Saturday or Sunday. And Adele, an older sister, said,
Today is definitely not Friday, not a Monday, and not a Tuesday.
What day is today? Let's cross out all the impossible days. From Dad, we know that it's not Wednesday and not a Thursday. From Mom, we know that Sunday and Monday are also out. Adele said no to Tuesday and Friday, so it's a Saturday. Avery walked into a room and there were several doors there. On the first door, there was a sign saying, Lion's Den. On the second door, there was a sign saying, Mountaintop. On the third door, there was a sign with just a question mark. Still, Avery knew exactly where the third door was leading. Do you? The third door is the door Avery walked through, so it led back there. Once upon a time, there was a happy family living in a house in the shape of a dome. There was a mother, a father, their daughter, a chef, a maid, and a puppy named Oliver. One day, mother and father came back home and found out that Oliver had gone missing. They asked who was the last one to walk him, but everyone denied it. The daughter said, I was reading. The maid said, I was dusting the corners in the house. The chef said, I was baking an apple pie. Who is responsible for Oliver's disappearance? The maid. There's no corners in a dome-shaped house. Mrs. Lawrence has 3 daughters, Ava, Bethany, and Chloe. She's about to have another girl. What do you think she'll name her? Riley, Daphne, or Ava? Mrs. Lawrence seems to follow the alphabet, so I bet she'll name her 4th daughter Daphne. In the middle of a pond, there's a little island, and there's a butterfly sitting on a rock. If it swims north, it's 2 minutes to the mainland. If it swims east, it's 3 minutes to the mainland. If it swims south, it's 1 minute to the mainland. If it swims west, it's 5 minutes to the mainland. Which way should it swim? It shouldn't swim either way. Butterflies fly. Once upon a time, an evil witch kidnapped 3 women and turned them into rose bushes. One of the women begged the witch to see her husband before she left him forever. The witch agreed. She took the woman home for the night and returned her to her rosebush state the next morning. The woman had warned her husband, and the husband was following them to rescue his wife. Look at these 3 identical rose bushes. Which one is his wife? The rosebush that was his wife doesn't have any of the night's dew on the leaves. A married couple went on vacation. They locked up their house and gave the keys to a neighbor, along with instructions on what to control and maintain in the house. Just in case, the wife hid her jewelry in a safe place. While they were on vacation, there was a power outage in the house. There was no electricity for a couple of days, until the neighbor came back to check the house. The neighbor cleaned everything up by the time the couple got back. The wife couldn't find her jewelry. The neighbor swore that he didn't touch it. Where did the jewelry go? The wife hid them in a freezer. After the power outage, everything melted and the neighbor threw out all the food and jewelry as well by mistake. Now, a tricky question for you. What is the difference between electricity and lighting? You have to pay for electricity. Anna is bilingual. She speaks English and German. She had 4 exams to write: English, math, history, and geography. She wasn't prepared for them well, so she wrote all of them in German. All teachers returned her tests because they couldn't understand anything and suggested she write the test on a different day, in English. Still, one teacher could understand what she had written and gave her an F. Which teacher was it? It's the math teacher. Mathematics is all numbers, and they're the same in most languages, so the teacher could understand everything and check the exam. It's an early Monday morning. William and Daniel are both driving to work. Who is not being smart? Daniel. He hasn't fastened his seatbelt. It's not safe. James and Delaney are getting ready for a big family barbecue in the evening. James is cooking and Delaney is busy with all the decorations. Who is not smart? James. He's cooking in the direct sun and there's milk standing right there. It'll go bad very fast. Riley and Tessa are doing house chores. Riley is vacuum cleaning the house and Tessa is outside shoveling the snow. Which one of them is in danger? Tessa, look, she's standing right below big icicles hanging off the roof. Every day, a woman was seen crossing the border carrying bags of sand on a motorbike. After some time, the border police got suspicious and stopped her. But they found she had only sand in those bags, so they let her go. What was the woman smuggling across the border? The answer is right in front of their nose. She's been smuggling motorbikes. Jonas lives on a farm. He just bought 7 horses. He's riding one of the horses, leading the rest to his farm. On the way, he's counting the horses he has, but he can only see 6. Problem, he paid for 7. He takes off, walks away, and counts the horses again. 7. Everything is correct. He hops up on a horse and keeps riding home. Midway, he's counting the horses again. 6. What do you think is his problem? Jonas always forgets to count the horse he's sitting on. Grace and Hope are twins, and they like to mess with people. Grace lies on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and Hope lies on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. One day, you walk up to them and ask what day it is. Both of them say, "Yesterday was one of my lying days." Which day is it? It can't be a Sunday, because they both say the truth one Sunday, and someone is obviously lying now. So one of them is lying, and one of them is telling the truth. So it's either the first day Grace lies, or the first day Hope lies. So it's either Monday or Thursday. It can't be Monday because in this case, both would lie saying yesterday was a lying day. So it's Thursday. Grace is telling the truth, and Hope is lying. Ben has an equal number of sisters and brothers, but each sister has twice more brothers as sisters. How many brothers and sisters are there in the family? There are 4 brothers and 3 sisters. So every boy has 3 brothers and 3 sisters. Every girl has 4 brothers and 2 sisters.